Hello, hello, happy Friday. Welcome to our Friday Witchy Hangout. We do this every single Friday. Sorry, I was a tad bit late. I had a breakfast sausage and Alex was like, no, you should really eat it. So I ate it and here we are and I have protein and we're good to go. So today we are doing a lovely juicy reading, not unlike the breakfast sausage that I just had lovingly prepared for me. It's a juicy reading about what do they love about you. So hopefully this is good. Also, Catherine, thank you so much and welcome back. And I just want you to know that people have reached out to me asking about you. You are noticed and you are loved and you are missed. And people are like, is Catherine okay? So I just wanted you to know that. And thank you as always for the super chat. And I hope you know that you don't have to do that. And we love your presence either way. And, okay, gentleman sausage, LMAO. All right. So, we have this juicy reading. We do have an anchor card today, and I'm just going to show you this. So if you're new around here, the anchor card is not one of the choices. So this isn't one of the piles, but this is a shared energy that goes into all the piles. And I do firmly believe that we read the cards together because I feel if you were drawn to tarot, it's because you are intuitive. I firmly believe that everyone's intuitive. I just think that we have to really pledge ourselves to truth, which can be hard to do because sometimes the truth can be hard to acknowledge or look at. So when we start to pull down those barriers and get brave and get into it, then our intuition, I think, really comes in and really shines, because otherwise our intuition is like a compass that can't find north because it wants to believe what's comfortable and safe, but it wants to believe what's coming through. And so we kind of get a little bit confused. And so this is the process that I think we're unearthing together. And it's also a benefit that I think that comes through the general readings, where it's not just about the information that's coming through, but it's an active alchemical process where we're kind of tuning ourselves and we're learning how to read life and the tea leaves, if you will, of our lives and ourselves. And I think that's an important, just as important focal point as whatever message that we're kind of seeking out. And so that's always just something to keep in mind. And the anchor card is kind of proof of that. So any messages that are kind of coming through, or if you see the anchor card in your mind, or any bit on it, like maybe you see a pearl or you see an eyelash or something, that might be an added message into any of the piles that we're going into. So I'll just leave that up there, the castle. And I know in the guidebook, this one has a lot to do with fantasy, kind of being trapped in the fantasy, which I just said that thing about the truth and everything that might be relevant here with what people love about you. Okay, so I'll put the pile selection up, and we've got 3 piles. So we've got pile number 1, which is the animal. We've got pile number 2, which is the father, and pile number 3, which is the kids. Good girl, Luna. My animal is scratching on her scratch post like she's supposed to. Okay, so we'll leave this up. And if you haven't already, now's a good time to choose your pile, or you can be drawn into multiple piles and take whatever resonates from you, to you, from both piles, or, Spirit gets nuanced with all of this stuff. So just allow your intuition to guide you. And even if you have already selected your pile, it's good now to just join us in a moment of complete and utter silence, letting our energy fall and connecting with that part of us that is the observer, that is below consciousness, and all the little thoughts that we have in a day, and all of our little insecurities and the things that we have to do, and just allow our energy to drop below that space together. So and whenever you're ready, you can come back up to the surface. You can breach your little blowhole out of the water and take that first gulp of air. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself. It came to my mind and I had to say it. So whenever you're ready, be drawn into whatever piles or multiple piles, both were plural, that you are drawn into. And when you're ready, I'm ready. We'll compassion the space here real quick. How dare you think about my blowhole? I'm sorry. How dare you float your blowhole into my mind? I'm joking. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of lip gloss on because I think my sausage kind of... Hello. Okay, and I'm gonna... Oh, was this the last bit? Okay, no. All right, when you're ready, I'm ready. Let's do it. Pile number 1, the animal. My cats are literally like in a line in front of me, blowing kisses at me, sometimes outdoors. Oh my gosh, and this is the animal. Okay, so some of you might be asking about an animal or like a child. There's kind of a vibe of like nurturance that's coming through. So what this person loves about you, I think, is like some kind of nurturing energy that you have, even if sometimes it is like fierce or matter of fact. You could especially see this with like a child relationship. It doesn't have to be. If some of you, don't let this like weird you out if you are asking about like a loved one or something here. But I think that you, maybe puncture through like this person's fantasy, but like in a really good way. And there's a real energy here of like I'm hearing you've soothed me. You have soothed me. In some way, I feel like you have soothed this person or this animal or whatever this is, soothed them and soothed. This feels like their body. For some reason, I can't say the word soothed. Soothed. There we go. But this feels like to do with their physical body. And it feels like almost with like no words even needing to be said. So I don't know if you've like taken care of this person while they were sick, with like a stomach bug or something. It just feels like there's this kind of like caring, nurturing energy. But also it feels like, other forms of care. Like I'm also kind of getting the image, just take what resonates for you with this pile, because there's a lot of different messages that are coming through. But like, say it's with a child or something, and this child is like running around being really crabby, and you're like, you're tired, you need to go take a nap. This child is like, I honestly didn't know that. I knew that I was cranky and crabby and that I wanted what I wanted, and I felt like sad about that, but I didn't realize I was tired. And when you told me I was tired and I need to go lay down, and I went and laid down, it actually helped. So there's some kind of connection here of like what you've tapped into and following like your directions, even if it is directives, and directives can be soothing. And I've worked a lot with kids in my day, and that's one thing that I've really noticed. Kids actually do appreciate structure, and they like knowing what to expect, and they love it when their caregivers are consistent. So I feel like for a lot of you, you are, if this is a child, or even if it's not, like you are very consistent, especially when it comes to your like directive energy or your matter of fact energy. And a lot of times directives can be soothing because it cuts through the nonsense, right? Like with the fantasy, it just cuts right through. So this person, again, maybe with their physical body or with their animal instincts of, it could be like a craving energy, and they're like all kind of wrapped up in it. And with your directive, you're like, no, go sit down. Dinner's ready in a second. And you're having like whatever we're all having for dinner. That directive energy is actually very soothing for this person. It provides some kind of structure because it's also predictable. You have things that you're very consistent about, so you're consistent about dinner time. You get like, you have your certain expectations, or you get like riled up even, but this doesn't feel, it's separate. This directive energy is very much separate from anger, and it's definitely separate from abuse. But you have this very calm, firm, matter of fact, and it gives this person kind of the feeling that you're in control. And it's good because you're actually like a very nurturing energy. And I feel like you've done this for this person. You've kind of taken over the reins. Like whenever they've been like sick, I keep getting that. Like, and I'm kind of getting like a, when their stomach hurts or something, and you're like, don't eat that, stop shoveling ho-hos in your face. You don't feel good. You need to drink this broth or something. This person really does appreciate that. And they have noticed like some kind of soothing energy, and it did cut through some kind of fantasy. For some of you, you're caregivers by nature, but you're caregivers by trade. Like you could be a nurse, or you could do this like as a profession. Even if you're some kind of like carer, you get to know like your patient, or you get to know this person and like the way that they kind of operate. And it's really, really beautiful. And there's some kind of karmas here. And I don't know if it's like intermingled with like your karmas, but it does have to do with the physical body and kind of breaking the fantasy of the physical body, breaking the hold of the physical body, of like just being a slave to its impulses and kind of putting that up on a pedestal. And I don't know if you're breaking it or they're breaking it, but it feels like maybe there's some kind of conjoined karmic contract here, because and I am kind of pushing out because there's real love here. Like this, what I'm picking up on is this like real love energy. I will say that there's some karmic energy that's kind of trying to get through. And I feel like these people would say the same thing, maybe about you or about this person or something here like that. But it's devil impulse energy. It's much more like you soothed me in my body, but it's like very in the moment, impulsive. It's not long lasting. And it's through something like, say somebody here, like there's two karmics that had an affair, right? And it's like, well, you soothed me because my life was so chaotic and I needed to hit that eject button. And so you allowed me to hit that eject button and like soothed me, but it's like moment to moment. And actually it's like eroding. So there is that kind of energy here. And maybe this person had that experience before you. And maybe you have like kind of, again, with your directives or something, you've kind of cut through the fantasy, you've cut through the bullshit that was actually keeping them sick. So they would get these like pops of relief. Now this could also be a pattern with eating or something where they would do something to soothe their energy, and but it was devil energy, and it only soothed them in the moment, but then it would make things worse, or they would go back to feeling all like controlled by the craving. And this somehow does have to do with the physical body, even if it's like a hormonal structure or or nervous system, like the sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system, where you've taught them in some way, oh, no. We don't let crazy and chaos drive. We have to learn how to flip ourselves over into a calm, kind of soothing energy. And like I said, I feel like there's karmas here. And I think for some of you that there's a person here, I don't know if this is you or somebody else, where I think there's some type of karmas where in order to break their bond to the physical body of thinking it's great, because that's another part of this too, of like in a world where everybody wants to like use our physical bodies, for their own selfish, like whatever. There's another thing here where it's like, you protect mine, you've chosen to protect mine. I'm the person that you're with and that you walk through life with, and you make sure that I'm growing well, or you make sure that I'm healthy. You make sure nothing happens to me, even just by standing near me or next to me. Like, it's that kind of bond here. And like I said, with this kind of karmic energy that's coming through, I feel like there might be a certain circumstance where somebody here was always going to have a child that had maybe some kind of special needs. And that might be with the physical body. It could be long lasting, but it also could just be like in their childhood where maybe they needed, I'm seeing kind of Forrest Gump in my mind. Remember we had to put those braces on his legs for a while to make sure everything kind of grew in, or, but it could be that they have something here. And it also could be, I'm hearing like the me you can't see, like it also could be psychological, and, there's some type of karmas to be worked out around this. And so somebody here, I feel like maybe was always going to either be that or like have a child here that maybe had some kind of special needs. And so their karmic choices to do with sex and the physical body have a lot to do with how that karma plays out in the short term and in the long term. Of do they fall for some kind of lustful temptation that is some kind of fantasy where somebody just wants them for maybe their physical body or for the way that it looks or for some kind of superficial reason. Because when a child comes into this picture, and it feels like for some of these people, it's like through them, they're supposed to be learning duty, and like that when you engage with the physical body, there's responsibility attached to it because we live in the 3D world that's material, that everything is kind of hinges around entropy, where things kind of like fall apart and they're meant to. And so as you live longer and longer, you have to learn how to maintain. And there's that labor of love, that goes into that. So the way that this person engages with their body, it feels like somebody here is like very obsessed with the senses. So when they're young, it's like they're just going after like these lustful kind of things, maybe at the expense of a child who really does need their time and attention, because there feels to be like overcoming enemy and like hidden enemy kind of energy here. Because I think there's a strong bond with a child here, like some kind of strong bond. And this child, again, has some level of special needs and they need this parent to be engaged. So who they choose as a partner, who they choose to share their body with, and that feels like it plays out in the karmas of, do you entrench yourself in ways that you don't need to be entrenched, and it also could be that the partner, as they age, like has some type of like ailment or something, and this person's meant to stick in there and they're meant to take responsibility. Somebody here is meant not to just take from the physical body, not to just use other people's physical bodies and look at it like it's a playground, fun, happy time, but look at it as like to build and maintain a physical body requires an enormous amount of energy, from, an ovum to growing a child to actually caring for a child. Like, it takes an enormous amount of energy, and that's not something to be dealt with flippantly. And that the physical world around us is a very entrapping energy, and entrapment with the physical body is karmically a lot what binds a lot of us here, is the pleasure of all of the senses. And can we kind of overcome that? And can we see it for what it actually is? And so I feel like there's some kind of partner here that is like a soulmate energy, and they would undertake this with them and encourage them to, do this labor of love. And somebody here would be burning their karmas. But there's also like karmic energies where even if they get with their soulmate, then there's some type of karmic energies where they're both maybe just very lustful people, very obsessed, very self-absorbed. And so that person is then an enemy to the child, is what I'm getting. Some type of like enemy to whoever this is that needs that care. And this person's like, oh my gosh, like you've lifted the lid. It feels like that you've lifted the lid. Lid is not supposed to be lifted. Nobody was done any service here. And so it feels like there's a little bit of that karma that's playing out here. But I think that this perspective of you've in some way soothed my physical body for better. Like there's actually a healer energy here. And there's also a devil energy here. But that would be the same here. And I don't really want to go down too far in the path of the karmic energy where it's really not true. And it's self-involved and self-absorbed and harmful, like of some kind of foundation. That is somebody engaged in a fantasy where they feel this is like helpful or something here. But I feel some energy is maybe even with this karmic situation, something has maybe even cut through this. And so it could be that you've just spoken truth to power is what I just heard. Power being the fantasy. There's like a lot of power here. It's very entrenched of the way that somebody, this is this and that is that. And some of you have just really come in, and I think you could have also given this person advice, like just very clear cut advice. And maybe it didn't make them feel good in the moment. It's kind of the opposite of devil energy. It doesn't make them feel good in the moment. And some of you could have even scolded this person, because look at this like animal. It's kind of like, it's giving that kind of vibe. Scolded them in the moment. But in the long run, they understand that was better. So this also has to do with like kind of building behaviors. Again, if this is a child or even if this is like an animal or something, when you've like scolded them, they know that like when you tell them not to touch the hot stove, it's for a reason. They know that you're doing that because you love and care about them. And even when you correct their social behaviors and stuff, they know that like when they act bad and they're not being polite or respectful or something in a group of people, they don't really like to be. Even if they kind of show this like, I don't care, like rebellion, we all want to be like loved and cooperated with and chosen and respected. And you're not leaving this child to a fate of, nobody likes me and nobody wants to be around me, because you've taught this child how they need to interact socially. And that starts with like healthy parenting at home. First of all, where their parents have like self-control and are able to regulate their own behavior. So for a lot of you, you show how to like regulate. There's very like a Mars-Saturn energy here of like the physical body, and Mars being like the gas pedal and Saturn being like an authority and some kind of restriction, and being the brake. And I feel like you've restricted this person in some way, and you've shown them that restricting themselves actually is how Saturn, they say, gives the best gifts. Even though you hold on for a long period of time, it burns all your karmas and it gives the best gifts. And it can put you in touch with like a higher goal, some kind of higher goal that you have. And only Saturn can really do that in the way that Saturn does. And I feel like you've been that healthy Saturn. For a lot of you, you've been that healthy Saturn energy. And maybe this person has encountered a lot of unhealthy Saturn energy. And maybe that's another thing that you're helping them to learn, is that not all Saturn energy that is like placing some type of restriction on you, not everybody is trying to control you or doing that for some kind of selfish impulse, because it feels like that Saturnian energy in you, where you can be very cold, or you can be very matter of fact, or you can be very stark, or you're like putting some type of restriction. No, we're not having s'mores for dinner. That it's service oriented, and this person recognizes that in you, and that also you're not going to stroke their ego or build their fantasy in order to get some kind of short-term gain of like this person liking you for all the wrong reasons and leading them down the wrong path, and at the expense of other people that this person would then use, abuse, and misuse. This person respects that. There's a lot of respect here in this pile of this person actually respecting you. Another thing might have to do with smell. Like this person likes the way that you smell, and yeah, me and Alex were talking about smells before this, and I was like right before the reading, I always like pay extra attention because I'm like, are we channeling something here that might come up? But we were talking about like animals, and isn't it funny how sometimes like a cat or a dog, especially cats, like they like the person that maybe doesn't seem to like them, or they'll like a really gruff kind of man. And Alex is like, I think maybe that has to do with smell, because I like put my hair right in front of like Luna's face, but I have product on my hair because she was like sniffing around, and she doesn't really like that. She was trying to sniff the sausages that were in the air. And so I made a joke. I was like, well, she probably would like my hair more if I just like slathered it with like lard and like, something that smelled like just rolled around in like something outdoors, and he was like, I bet that's why like a lot of cats, kind of like these like men, maybe they don't use a lot of products, and so they want to go and they rub all over them, and they want to like, because they smell like musky, or they smell like the outdoors or something. And so there could be something like that, even if you don't smell musky and like sausage. There could be something about the way that you smell that is very homey or very comforting or very warm, like to this person. It kind of settles their soul. Again, I'm hearing it. You've soothed me. Like there's some kind of soothing energy. So yeah, I feel like there's a lot of love here actually. And this feels like where there's not a karmic connection, where somebody's actually distracting from the karmas that somebody is set to work out. And they've chosen a soulmate who hopefully, not for all of them, for some, I think they're going to get entangled in a lustful connection that will lead to a child that has maybe some kind of restriction or special needs. And it could be that partner, that another way this could go, a karmic partner, is somebody who just wants to use them for their body, so it could be sexually, it could be because, oh, look at me, like I'm with this person. Maybe there's, they in some way there's a binding with like a child energy. And then what was like very lustful then turns over into a strong need to care for somebody's body. This also could happen of maybe these two have maybe this person did that to somebody else in a karmic life. They bounced out the door or something. So there's in some way, there's karmas that I feel like need to be worked out here around discipline and duty, and that being a loving energy, and not seeking these karmic, like self-absorbed, very lustful, distracting energies and calling that soothing. Because I can see here that somebody is like, well, I'm really overwhelmed by life. They're supposed to be in that. And so they're supposed to update and correct the way that they see the physical body. Because I think somebody here is like, woohoo, it's a playground and that should be where I get all my needs met. No, you need to give to someone's physical body. And that is in the form of providing and protecting. And that is an energy. So that is meant to encourage this person to understand the value of some type of self-disciplinary energy around their genitals, around their sexual activity, around their physical body. And this is like, maybe gluttony, like kind of anti-gluttony of, well, no, I need to, and maybe somehow you're playing a role in this where you're like, nah, you're taking like the bad thing out of this person's mouth or something. And it's like, we don't just kind of soothe ourselves through food. Some of us like just soothe ourselves through food. I don't know who that would be. Certainly not me. And I hate caramel chews, for the record. I'm joking. So yeah, like stop doing that. We have to honor the physical body, and a lot of that is not just giving into every craving that it has, or to use other people's bodies as Elizabeth Gilbert put it, like as a scratch post. She vows in that. She says, never again will I use another human body as a scratching post for my own cravings. I'm going to learn how to navigate in the world. And that way, when you do engage in those ways, it's elevated, it's much more meaningful, and it's not the fallen energy of the Kundalini, right? Because when it's fallen. And I do think some people here have glorified lust. That's the karmic connections here. And maybe you're helping this person to overcome that in some way. Like this person who has some kind of restrictions on the body, they've in some way glorified their lust. They've deified it. And they've said, this isn't the Kundalini energy falling. This isn't devil energy. This is the God I should follow. And doesn't, Ew. Right? But like the devil loves for you to call it God, right? and lust loves for you to call it love. And so there's this fantasy that's kind of like, and some of you have gotten in here and said, no, that's not the healthy energy. And because some of you are like not even in this situation, you're outside of it, and you're like, nope, you've taken your sword of truth and you've just said, knock it off, you know better than this. Lust is lust and love is love. God is God and the devil is the devil. You know, like it's very much like that. This is leading one way. It's not leading the other way. This is a temporary high that will, in the long term, erode more in your life over time, your health, your relationships, your financial well-being. That's a karmic situation. Whereas something here requires you to restrict yourself in the moment for both of these people, by the way, if this is an affair situation, and you will benefit. You will reap the fruits of that in the long term. And again, I'm hearing that soothing energy. And some of you have done that with the person here. You've built that. Even if this isn't a romantic relationship, some of you, this could be a friendship, a platonic relationship. This could be, but it feels like there's been that trust that's been built over the long term of like, you've soothed me in some way, in a way that only a long-term partner or a long-term situation where we've built this trust and neither of us have rocked the boat with it. You know, that can really only bring, there's some real fruits that are coming in here from this here as well. So yeah, it's not a fantasy with you. And you don't care to be a fantasy to somebody as well. Like you care to be flesh and blood. You care to show up to your life and to be real. And this person loves that about you. And it makes you just a force, actually, to be reckoned with. Okay, so I'm reaching for some message cards here. Imagine a sausage scented candle. We don't have to imagine around here, honey. I'm joking. Oh my gosh, this is exactly the energy.
We do not have sausage scented candles.
Yet. If you couldn't hear that, Alex said we don't have sausage scented candles, but you know, things can change. Your kindness changed my life. That's really what I'm getting. And I think also the kindness that's coming through here. Again, kindness and being superficially nice are not the same thing. Because there's really an energy here of you not just giving in to this person's fantasy. Because part of the fantasy here is they think somebody going along with their bullshit, going along with their fantasy is kindness, but I feel like you have actually shown something different, and I really genuinely feel like it got through. If something here really got through to this person, it's never going to be forgotten. It's like really taken hold deep, because I'm seeing the sword of truth kind of go into this person and really latch into like their solar plexus, heart chakra area, like right to the core of them, and it just feels like it's hard, you know, but it's like healing in some way. Your kindness changed my life. And then I'm spying on you came out. So this person could be spying on you, but it was also like in reverse. So maybe this person has like stopped spying on somebody that was not great. Yeah. I'm afraid to get close to people. So I think this person is realizing that. And that could be part of the karmas here of like, I'm afraid to get close to people because I just realized that people are very selfish, self-absorbed, fickle creatures. And a lot of the worst things that have ever been done to people in their personal lives and also on a collective scale was done under the guise of, I deserve this, or I'm a victim, or this is, they've justified it in some way because they refuse to call it by the name that it is, you know? This isn't an affair. This is my divine twin flame. Well, that's just a blank check, isn't it? You know, so there's something here where this person's realizing that they've made, maybe in the past, that this kind of, there's a certain way that they were, and it's Mars and impulsive and devil energy that has made maybe you or maybe other people get close to people, but it feels like you're a part of this like healing balm that's coming in for that. I will be back. I've never met anyone like you before. So this person could have felt like they needed to get some distance, or maybe they kind of come in and out because it does feel like intense, this kind of new thing. I will be back is kind of what I'm getting from this. So you might think that they won't, but it feels like this person maybe wants to impress you. Yeah, I'm scared you're moving on. Let's start over. This person, I think, wants to start over. But I'm hearing, again, from Eat, Pray, Love, that might be related here. But her words are big too. I can't remember what it is in Italian, and I don't want to butcher that language, but it means like, let's cross over. And this person's like, I want to cross over. And it does feel like something here about like Eat, Pray, Love. And there's something here about words. So this person may like the words that you use, or you help them straighten out their words. Or Alex says this to me where he's like, he's always said this, like our entire relationship, he's got this thing about words where he's like, words have meanings. And I would always say, well, colloquially, they kind of do change. You know that when somebody's saying this or when somebody's saying that they mean it a certain way. And he's like, that's where they kind of pull the Overton window, like to the side, and then we misunderstand each other, and like the truth kind of no longer has meaning. And I've learned that over time that he's right in a lot of ways. Like, yes, you know, colloquially, and I understand what people are saying when they mean certain things colloquially, but then I'll remind myself in my brain what that word actually means, and like what's kind of actually going on. And I feel like maybe you've done something similar where you're like, no, that word doesn't mean that, you know. or nope, these are two different concepts and we need to relate to them like they're two different concepts. And the nuance here actually matters. And again, I'm seeing with the sword, there's real Queen of Swords energy here, or it's more Queen of Swords, huh?
Yes.
Rather than King of Swords. And it's like, it's just getting in here and like kind of parsing through like the details where you've actually kind of done that. And it feels, a lot of people are scared of Queen of Swords energy or King of Swords energy. They don't want to, because they're afraid of not being seen as like nice, right? But if you don't have that, I mean, the Empress is the embodiment of all four queens. So how can you have an Empress without the Queen of Swords in there? Somebody who just sees things like very clearly and will do what needs to get done and doesn't want to waste time being wrapped in a fantasy, because it's not, it might feel good in the moment, but somebody's going to bleed out, or so, it's not nice to not be sharp and to not be with it and to not know exactly what it is that you're looking at and to be willing to call it out if necessary, even, and to go against the grain. And I'm getting goosebumps, like all over, but like, especially on my legs. Action, I feel like that's it. Like, taking some kind of action. Like, how can you take the proper action if you're not seeing clearly? And I think somebody here, because I think somebody here could have tried everything as well, where they're like, oh, I'm changing all my actions here, but they don't go all the way back to the root and like kind of see things clearly. And you've done that. You've uncovered the root. There's also something here with root chakra. And again, that this feels like schmegel energy for those of you that this is like a couple kind of situation. You're healing them at the root. Like it feels like maybe an inflamed root chakra because the people that they were going after were illusionary. And they were like in a fantasy about that. And they really glorified and put on a pedestal this lust energy. That's really, it's kind of, it's here 1 minute, gone the next, because you'll get bored, there's maybe novelty is like another thing here. And it's like, this is also another thing that gets me of these kinds of people that they're like, I was thinking about this morning too. And I wondered if I was channeling, but it's like, oh, I'm adventurous. And they use the word adventurous. This is the words thing here as well. But I was thinking to myself, like, a lot of them, what they mean is that they're reckless, but they actively choose not to use the word reckless. And they choose something with a more positive, like, oh, aren't I like untamable and I'm like adventurous? But I know these two people and I think of them sometimes because they're crazy, like in the best way. But I knew them like a while back. Alex knows them too, but they are very like wild and they like nature. And I remember I went hiking with these people. I remember the first time because I went several times with them because they're crazy. And I like a good time, I like watching things happen, but, they were just crazy in nature. Like, one guy, I remember he was like running from these huge boulders that were in like the middle of the stream and he was doing backflips and everything. That's adventurous. Okay. And you know what? Those guys, one guy broke his arm and then shortly after the other guy broke his leg. And I think I've mentioned this on my channel before, but the guy that broke his leg, in case you're wondering what the healthcare system looks like in America, that man set his own bone. Because he didn't want to go to the doctor and have it paid for. And one of his friends already had crutches because look at the type of people they are. Somebody around them has definitely broken things before. And then he would even go out hiking with the crutches and like leave the crutches and like hike just with only his arms. That is a wild person. Okay. That's an adventurous person. And the thing about those two guys that I was thinking of, they were always covered in bruises. The person that they hurt and put at risk was always themselves. That is an adventurous person, truly an adventurous person. Okay. But there's somebody here that, oh, I'm adventurous. Oh, I can't be tamed. Really, they're a dopamine addict. And the way that they get their dopamine addict is like by imbibing something. They sit on their ass and they imbibe some kind of, how is that adventurous? I mean, yeah, you're altering the brain chemistry and then they go F like a random stranger. And they're like, I'm so adventurous. And it's like, you put other people at risk. You use other people. Don't use the word, you're a lot of other things besides adventurous. Okay. And you're selfish, you're reckless, you harm other people that they're going to have to unpack, even if their mind has to keep them in a fantasy to pretend like you didn't just treat them like an object and you were selfish. Like, you hurt people is what you do. That's not adventurous. Those people were adventurous, so again, with the words here and like, maybe this is like them as well, but they're like, yeah, when I sit on my butt and I just drink substances, that doesn't really qualify someone as being adventurous. Actually, it's the opposite. That's kind of the least courageous way that you can get like some type of adventurous fill or dopamine hit, it's like, yeah, it's really uninspiring actually. And only when you're around the real thing can you actually be like, that's not what you are. That's not what you are. And you got a lot of problems that you're going to have to sort out once you come out of the fantasy of, oh, I'm such a king that can't be tamed. And it's like, maybe you should be able to tame yourself towards the goals that you want. And those goals are your values and you should have values. And if you don't value other people, then I don't know why you shouldn't be protected from being around them in civilized spaces. So I feel like, yeah, there's something here to do with that. Preach, sister, preach. Yes. You're not adventurous, you're dangerous. Yeah, it's like And I think you've helped somebody like actually turn that like lens on where they'll actually, this feels like broader too, where they'll actually question the words that they're hearing. And they're like, well, is that adventurous? Something doesn't quite feel right about that. And they'll take the time to actually find the word that like goes with it instead of just not doing that. And that's adding, I'm getting goosebumps again. That's adding to like their level of consciousness. So you've given this person something that they're putting in their little pack, in their little tool pack, and beyond whatever, I'm literally getting goosebumps again, like beyond whatever, like you guys talked about, like in that thing, you know, it's like, okay, well, is it adventurous or is it dangerous? Like, yeah, they learned that one thing, but they also learned this like skill that they can just see through bullshit. I feel like you've helped somebody. And it's not just teaching them how to see through bullshit, because I feel like this person knows how to do it. We all know how to do it. It's just that our culture, I feel like, has kind of shut that down, especially in women, where it's like, well, you don't want to be mean, do you? You know, and if you hit the nail right on the head, which is kind of a pleasurable experience, I'm not going to lie. Once you do it a couple times, you're like, that felt really good. You know, because you just hit the bullseye. You know, when you do that, it's a superpower, because a lot of people are not willing to do it, and things kind of just like crumble around it, and everybody is safer because of that. When you don't allow people to kind of withdraw in their cocoon, because what you're calling nice is allowing somebody to withdraw in their cocoon so they feel temporarily better, but it's at the expense of literally everybody around this person who will come into contact with them and have to deal with this like rotten animal nature that they like once had. And that's not okay, like in a civilized society, because we're individuals, but we're also a part of a broader organism. So, okay. I think I'm just going to pull a couple of my little cards here. I haven't used these in a while. Calm. Yeah, you make this person feel calm is what I'm getting. You've taught them how to soothe themselves here as well. And I think it's because this soothing energy, it's like it somehow connected to the truth. Whereas this person they followed some kind of like patterning from their culture. And I think it was like, well, we don't pop people's fantasies. You know, we give them their fantasies, because that's like, I'm seeing a sucking the thumb energy, or like a warm, that's their warm blanket. It's mean to take their warm blanket away. But actually it leads to feeling very frazzled and then not knowing what's wrong. And there's something here about you just cutting through that, telling the truth that actually does calm this person or like other people. And it makes them feel like things are structured and that they can find their bearings, because it's deeply anxiety inducing to not be able to find your bearings. And you've helped this person be able to find their bearings. There's a lot of respectful energy. Your energy is powerful. And I think there's something about your energy that kind of questions, maybe you have actually questioned this, of like, why would you give your power away? Why would you give your power? Why would you let this person define that for you? No, take a look at their behavior and look at what they actually are. Because I think some of you fell in love with a fantasy. And that could be of anything, of the world, of your job that you work for. You're like, oh, we're causing help in the world, but actually it poisoned the Gulf of Mexico. And like now all the ducks are covered with oil. And you're like, I don't think we're helping the world. Like, you know, or at least that's not exclusively what we're doing. And, you know, it's like, why let somebody define that for you? Why let somebody control the narrative? What do you see? You know, and it's something you're like that grateful. This person is so grateful that they met you. I feel like you are the kind of you're a rare find is what I'm getting, where this person's met a lot of people that maybe did plug right into their fantasy. And maybe you've compared yourself to those people and you're like, oh, I wish that I wish that people loved me like they love the people who just plug right into their fantasies. But I can't be that, you know. You are like a rare find where you made the, like, I'm seeing like on train tracks, you know, in like the cartoons where like some animal like pull the lever and then like the train track goes to a different train track. I genuinely feel that you got this person off the wrong track and you helped put them on, like, reacquaint them with truth. They literally have gone or will go down another path, a different path in life that is far better than the one that they were on. Because I'm seeing that devil path leading like to off the, you know, when they like blow up the bridge and like the train just kind of goes into the valley. Like that's what you help them avoid that, because their train was going nowhere fast and it was just going to go right off the end. And instead they're like on a better path in some way. They're grateful. This person is so grateful for you. They were apathetic in the past. Yeah, they were really apathetic, and you help kickstart them out of that. There's something here where, okay, again, I'm hearing my husband with the words. There's something here where they thought that they were innocent in a situation where they weren't. But he said something to me the other day about somebody. He was like, that person's not, they're not innocent. They're gullible. He said, they're not innocent, they're gullible. And I was like, yo, and again, that's the opposite of the Queen of Swords energy, because the Queen of Swords is not gullible. And I think there's somebody here that's not gullible. It was definitely me in my younger years, because I've always been sharp as a tack. I even have memories of like my dad when I was little saying things like that. And I kind of knew that I had to dumb myself down in order to not get in trouble, in order to like, I just knew that was expected of me because of my gender. It was always connected back to like, she's a girl, she's not gonna listen to a man, blah, blah, blah. And so I would always kind of keep myself in this fog. And I somehow my brain knew how to do it, to just kind of keep me in this fog. But I actually was sharp as a tack, you know? And I used to be very gullible, but I'm not naturally gullible. I'm an air sign, and I naturally can tap into that Queen of Swords energy. And I thought that was innocence because I thought that I was supposed to be that. But gullibility is not the same thing as innocent. And anybody who needs you to be gullible and calls it innocent is not a good person to be around. Guilty. So somebody here feels guilty. So you could have made them realize that they're not actually, oh, we had innocent and guilty. They're not actually innocent in something, that they are guilty, that their animal nature, at the very least, they're craving, that they didn't know how to work with, or that they're responsible for that. You've pointed that out, or you've held them to a standard, even if you didn't point it out directly. It's like you've made it very clear, like in your household, for instance, that this is a child. No, we take responsibility for our own behaviors and our own actions and the effect that it has on other people. You are expected to see and notice how your actions affect other people, which is empathy. And you are expected to update your behavior accordingly. And if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. You know, if you don't, you're going to get called out on it. It's not excusable. Oh, well, I couldn't have possibly known. Okay, maybe that was an experience in your past. You know now. I never want to hear you not know ever again. Okay, because we are a social species and that's what we need to do. We're responsible for our own behavior and you need to update your own behavior, right? So you're doing something like that where you're like, yeah, this person's scared. Oh my gosh, direct. Yeah, they might be like kind of scared of it, but they love it at the same time. They know that it's the right thing and that if they had been properly updated, it feels like by their culture, that they wouldn't be as intimidated by it and that they would be joining you in it. And people want to live in truth. They really do. And so like, I think you show this person, I think this person admires you. And I think this person, you've given them some type of imprint in their energy and in their mind of what they want to be like. And because I think this person used to pedestal other energies that are fake and that are just a fantasy and that just know how to like milk energy out of people. They know how to glamour people. And when they saw you, they were like, I don't actually respect that energy anymore. Actually, it's not cute. It's not cute and it's not cool. And this seems like, happy and prominent. So I think that you've also busted a lot of preconceived notions that they had, like that if somebody lives in truth, like the cold hard truth, that's like drudgery or something. But actually you're very happy and you're very healthy. And maybe you're definitely play a prominent role in this person's mind. Like you stand out. Maybe it's to other people in your job or something, but I feel like you are different. Like you stand out because you do not nurse fantasy energy because you know that it's cruel. This person, I think, maybe is quiet and open. You've changed their energy as well, too, to being quiet and open. Where this they don't have that narcissistic chip on their shoulder of like, because the ego is kind of that intersection between like, well, this is what I can do and this is what I can achieve based on my whatever limited resources that I have. And this is what I want, right? Because we'll use our resources to go after our cravings. And so the ego kind of has an ethos that surrounds like the intersection of those two things. And everybody, think about like Fresh and Fit. I mean, I'm sorry to make you think about them. Maybe don't. But how they're always, their version of manhood, it's always that. It's the intersection because one of them came out, you know, I can never tell them apart because I don't like them and I don't want to pay attention. One of them's clearly the ringleader and the other one's clearly like the follower, and it's the ringleader one that like came out and was like, oh, well, you know, I believe in the nuclear family and everything. But recently he said something like, but we should live in separate houses. Like, okay, so she'll have the baby over there with her and like we'll live in separate houses. And people rightly pointed out, they're like, that's not the nuclear family. Like you are advocating for baby mama culture and that's fine if that's the way that you want to live. But don't call it, again, words, don't call it by another name, you know, and then demonize the people that are actually doing that and that are kind of saying the same thing, that they like having their freedom and that they you know, don't want to be beholden to anybody else, you know, and I forget where I was going with that, but I mean, it's just that, because he's always at the intersection of like, well, because he can afford, you know, his whole ethos, their whole thing is like, oh, men protect and provide. And it's like, so he's like, well, I can provide her a house over there and me a house over here. And if she needs protection, then I'll just hire some overnight security guard or something. But that's not realistic. Not everybody can do that. And so it's just, that's the intersection though of his ego and like where he is. And he doesn't think about like the goalposts to always move. And it's a way of getting other people to fall in line with your fantasy. And like you judge them by your own rubric and you always keep people on the back foot. It's a control mechanism, you know, where you always keep other people on the back foot and then you can always change the goalpost. But if somebody's intersection was different and they tried to say that, you would disagree with it. I don't know. So you've kind of put all of that and you're like, no, the ego should not be in charge of this. There's truth and there's not truth. So anyways, I don't know. That just really spiked my blood sugar, or my blood pressure. So, okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. Some people are like dropping some info about Fresh and Fit in the chat, but it doesn't surprise me. Yeah. So he protects his ego and provides stress and cortisol for her. Yo, I just heard that the other day and it stuck with me. Okay. May I use that when I describe myself? Because I'm like that as well, but don't want to steal your eloquence. Oh, thank you. Yeah, you can use that. Okay, so I think that's all I'm going to do for pound number one because we've already been talking for a while, but you really have like made some kind of impact. And I also feel like you've been really brave. And I think what's actually made you brave is that I feel like you really love God and you really have some kind of virtues and like you cannot not adhere to it because you would hate yourself too much. And maybe you've had experiences like that of like guilt. Because I feel like you've gone through all of this. You've wrestled with all of this and you've just decided for yourself very firmly that you can't play that game. And I think it makes you courageous and it makes you very different. And so sometimes I think that you might feel very alone. You feel very lonely. It's like, why do I always have to be the one that's like, why are 10 people here knowingly saying something that is false? It's because it's devil energy. It's the easier thing to say, to keep people in fantasy. People appreciate that. I always see the meme where it's like there's one kiosk and it says pretty lies and the line is like forever. And then there's another kiosk that says hard truths. And it's, there's like two people in that line, And so I think for some of you, you're like, why is it that I'm always the one that has to point out, and that then you get looked at as like a disruptor, and that's not your intention. You just don't want to live in a world and you can't live in a society. It makes you feel unsafe and it makes other people feel unsafe to live in a world where you can't tell the truth and people don't like that. The Bayou, thank you so much. You're right. I love God. Yes. Great meme. Yo, I think about that meme so much, like just as I'm going through my daily life and even like holding myself accountable because I like a pretty lie too. Don't get me wrong. And I like a caramel chew. I know I told you guys a lie earlier where I said I don't like caramel chews, but I do. I know that a lot of you know that anyway. Okay, so that's pile number one. We're done there because I feel like I could go on and on because you really are a different kind of energy. And you make an impact. And even if people hate you when they first meet you and they're like, oh, can you believe the nerve of that person? They come around. I feel like they actually come around. And one day, and it might not be in this lifetime, but one day down the road when we have the utopia that we're looking for because enough people started to get into the truth line, even though it was uncomfortable. And so we all were like, wait a second, we like tore back all the fantasy stuff and we're like, we should actually build a nice place to be instead of pretending that we're in a nice place to be. Then I feel like you'll have a lot of friends. Like karmically, you'll just have made a lot of friends because you assisted people and you assisted like that vision, and maybe those karmas will ripen at that point in time. So don't lose heart and don't lose hope. You're a special person. I literally just heard that. You're really special and you've soothed me, and that kind of like brings things back around. So, okay, that was pile number one. And we'll throw this up, y'all. So we just finished pile number one, which is the animal, in case you're just joining us, and we're moving on to the father. The father. Luke, I am your father. Sorry. Yes, let's build a nice place to be. Angela said, I've gotten, who do you think you are, talking to me like that so many times in my life. And like when you first start doing it, you're like, okay, well, if I use all these words, and it takes a lot of energy because you've got to walk them the long way around in order to try and not like walk on eggshells. Like you walk on eggshells to like not disturb their ego too much. And then you realize that that's unsustainable. And so then you're just like, listen, here's what it is. You can accept that or not, but I can't wreck myself trying to tiptoe around your ego, but you can't do that. And I think people can get addicted to that energy too and like expect it, but it's like, it's unsustainable. Thank you, Savannah. These t-shirts with the mini French poofs really suit you. I think so too. I have 3 of them and actually I have 4 of them. Yeah, I'm going to get more because I think they're like in fashion now because I've seen like several of them and I really like them because I feel casual and I feel breezy, but I also feel like kind of, put together, and I like that. Walk on eggshells, please. No, thank you. The collective is collecting. Yo. Aw. That's sweet. No more tiptoeing. Okay, so we put that up there. Let me just take one more drink here. I've been curating my look as well. Nice. We had to go to an event here recently, and the guys in the car, Alex and his brother, they were talking about how it's really nice that women have dresses because you don't really think about it, but a dress kind of makes you look nice and like really put together, but it's one garment. Like it's just one thing and it's like a complete outfit and you can just put it on and like you can look nice, but it's also casual. It's a little bit breezy. And they said that, there's really not the male equivalent to that. It's always, a button-up shirt and some nice pants. And it's pants for men too, because they can't really wear shorts at like nicer events too. And I never really thought about that. Oh, I'm so glad. Morph suit. Overalls. I love dresses with pockets. A kilt, yo.
Yeah, but a kilt still doesn't cover your top.
Oh, kilt still doesn't cover your top?
It's not a self-contained item.
Alex is like, I thought about the kilt.
Like, kilts are great. They're just not the same thing as a dress.
Although I will say that at Omega, there was masculine men too, that would wear skirts sometimes. You know how
They're awesome because they're so breezy.
You know how there's that intersection of like the most masculine men will sometimes do feminine things? Like those kind of people would do that. But they're also like comfortable socially. Those kind of people would like be the ones that sometimes on a really hot day would have a skirt that they would wear.
We also have to understand too that a skirt or like just like a full kind of body kind of garment is only feminine in like
modern times,
Western cultures.
Yeah.
There are a lot of cultures where just like a full body just garment that is just like a light flowing fabric is very much a typical masculine garb.
Well, also like, okay, not to get too graphic, but just like think about our lower regions and like which one seems more suited to wear a dress and have like a little room there, and which one could wear pants and like, it's not really a big deal. Anyway. Toga. Yo. Okay, so now that we've had that conversation, which we all needed, let's move into pile number 2, which is the father. Oops. The father. The father. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let me find it. Let me compassion too. Oh, okay. So the Shakti cards just fell down here. So this might be like something to do with your feminine side, your feminine power. I'm just going to pull some Shaktis. Quinn just said, the father card is reminding me of that Lil Wayne lyric. You know father time and we all know mother nature. It's all in the family, but I'm no relation. Black and white diamonds, F segregation. Yo. That is... Lil Wayne is like a poet. Obviously, rappers are poets. Maybe for some of you, there's a poetry thing here. Oh my gosh. Okay, that is exactly the energy because I was getting that kind of, but I didn't know exactly how to like ground it in there. Thank you so much for saying that. So, because like this father energy, right? There's like this duality that I'm getting with the tree. And so Lil Wayne, okay, I know that he's not like the greatest person and that he's like hurt people and stuff. Like I'm pretty sure. I don't know much about him, but I'm pretty sure I remember that. But there's this like with the rap, right? Like there's the gruffness to it. Of like, yo, I'm so hard and like blah, blah, blah. But like the poetry thing of like actually having something to say that is nurturing and like uplifting to society of like, hey, I'm a poet and I've noticed this. So saying things that are like gruff and like hard and direct, but also like there's this poetry to it of him saying it in a rhyme and with a beat and like making music and making people like dance to it. There's that kind of energy with this particular group. And there's something here with the, that word segregation is like kind of coming through, but this feels like you know what people love about you or what this person loves about you is that I think that you're different in different settings, maybe in a way that's like surprising to people or like stark. This to me feels like all like you work hard, play hard kind of energy,? So like, especially with the father, this kind of giving like emperor energy. So like when you're at work, maybe you're very, like, I don't know, high powered or like very structured or it's like, what needs to be done. And again, that kind of ties maybe over into pile number 1 of like, hey, that provides like the structure. People know what to expect. There is a rule, it's not loosey goosey. And so everything kind of like runs really well. And you're kind of at the center of that and you're not afraid to be that. But then outside of work, like when it's time to play, you really kind of like let loose and people might be like very shocked about that, but like you're really like together in this sense because that's appropriate. It's like situationally, contextually appropriate. And then you really like to like have fun. There's a lot of men in my family, like on my mom's side of the family that are very much like this, where they're kind of like, they're successful, but they're also like very social. But then 5 o'clock hits and the only thing they want to know from you is, do you want a hamburger or a hot dog? Like literally that's it. And they're out on the boat and they like to play games and stuff. And there's, they like that casual relax. And there is the sense here of like, no, we work hard so we can play hard, kind of a thing. You're not somebody who just wants to play hard because if you are just a play hard kind of person, it's a taker energy. Like you aren't contributing to the surplus, or to the group or anything. No, you contribute a lot. You take that very seriously and you are efficient at doing that, it seems like. But then you also like to really play hard and it leads to growth. That's the Shakti power. Things seem to grow around you. And it might even seem a little bit mysterious to people how that is, because they might not realize that it is because you have this beautiful blend and you're very astute. This feels like a very socially capable group. Like you're socially plugged in. You don't always like say the weird thing, or if you say the weird thing, it's because you meant to, because you wanted to just like ruffle people up or something. So you're very like just socially aware. You pick up on a lot of things. A lot goes on behind the scenes with you that people don't necessarily know. They're not, and I think it might be because some of you have this like very casual kind of, it looks effortless. Something here like easy breezy, or like you make something here look effortless. And I think for some of you, this ties over into your look. Like it looks like you woke up like this kind of a thing, or just like you make something here look effortless, but then everything is kind of growing around you. And so I think when people try to like replicate your energy, they don't understand the structure that kind of goes into the effortlessness, because at the very least, you've done like the same routine over and over and over again, and it becomes effortless to you. It's not that there is no effort there, but there's some kind of blend with that where you're good at mastery of the self, mastery of like, it's very emperor, like mastery of your skill set, mastery of your space, like your energy. And I think that's another thing here that people love about you. But again, it feels like ephemeral, like maybe people can't exactly capture this in words, or like they don't understand it, but you're good with energy. You're actually really good with energy. And that actually tells me that you're spiritual people, because spirituality, when you get down to the brass tacks of it, it's very pragmatic to be a spiritual person, because unless you've got somebody here in the fantasy realm where they like spirituality because it's unregulated, and they can say whatever bullshit comes to their mind and not actually have checked it with anything here. You're not that person. Spirituality, real spirituality, the desperate need to like understand life and to connect yourself like with the heavens, and to not just to spout off whatever bullshit, that is incredibly pragmatic, because every spiritual system really comes down to how do you manage your energy efficiently, to me. And when you do that, you kind of free up your energy. And I feel like you're good at that on a personal level. And because of that, that spills over into a kind of leadership. This is kind of giving a bit Sigma though, for some of you, where it's like, you don't need to be in charge. You don't want to be the leader for the sake of it. It's not giving the alpha energy of like, I just always have to be in charge. Whether or not you're more of a person who understands if you're the person who should be in charge and taking the lead, but if you're not the person who should be sitting at the front, you're not sitting at the front, and it doesn't bother you. You don't feel less than. There's times when you're a student, there's times when you're the teacher, there's times when you're at rest, there's times when you're active. You have this really good blend and really good balance, but people don't always, I think that people just really see you as somebody who has their shit together and who just always kind of knows the right thing to do. But there's a lot behind the scenes that kind of goes into that. And again, it feels like there's something here that you've mastered where it is effortless for you, but it wasn't always effortless, and you are willing to put in the time. So you also have an innate knowing and understanding and respect for people putting the time and energy in. And I think that, maybe you work with people that are like kind of students, or they're trying to learn, or they'll try to mimic your energy and they get frustrated because it doesn't take off for them, right? The same way that it takes off for you, which tells me that there also might be a lot of disrespect of your energy because they just think that, oh, well, you make it look easy, so it should be easy. And just because you can do it, I can do it. And when people can't do it, I think they mimic. I think that because they want to be seen like on the same level, but the student function is what built you. So you'll recognize somebody in the student function being really diligent, and that's the person that you'll kind of go over to. You'll recognize that. And people might even feel a little, not put off, but just like embarrassed that they're struggling. But you're like, I recognize the struggle part of it because that's where I started, and I remember that. And I remember wishing that somebody could just kind of tweak something here and there. And so you'll kind of do that. And it's because that's the person that you see yourself in most, not these people who are mimicking and not actually making any progress. You see yourself more in that like student energy, whether or not, and I feel like it's kind of rare that somebody will have so much humility. That's the other thing. There's a lot of humility with your energy, but like, somebody here will not be self-conscious around you because they're so, not worried about the performance. And it might be that they're aware of it, but they recognize that they have to kind of, if they're going to be the real deal, that they've got to go through it. This is you when you were younger, I feel, that I'm describing. So there's this real growth energy and also the ability to carry things away. I think some of you might be physically stronger. You just carry a lot, like you carry a load. And it's really great. But again, also it feels like you're good at maybe letting that load down sometimes too. And like wanting to party and wanting to have fun. And people who will meet you in one arena or another and it'll confuse them in a good way. Like to see you in another arena, in a different arena where you're like more casual and you're like, well, yeah. And I also think that you're somebody who respects people's boundaries. So it also could be that, you start slow with a person where you're like, I'm not trying to push friendship on you or anything like that. You might be very contained in your energy until invited to not be, until somebody is like kind of extends the hand of like, we're about to let loose. And then you'll really let loose and people will just see a completely different side of you. Yeah. And in a way that makes them laugh, in a way that makes them smile. I also feel like, because a lot of you are very like respectable, but you really don't mind making a fool out of yourself and like laughing at yourself. Like you kind of don't take yourself too seriously. And I think it kind of, people stutter with your energy because I think that they wanted to mimic your energy, but they stutter with it because somebody will see you in like your work environment and then they'll try to be like this, you know, like all the time. They'll try to be like, la, 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 you know, and they're like, yeah, I got it. And then they'll see you like doing a keg stand at a party and they're like, but I was doing that. And like, you're over there doing that. And like, they realize, and I think this is good for them, that you kind of don't take yourself too seriously. This is an act. You are the way that you are as an act of service. So I think a lot of people are in fantasy about you, like, and about why you are the way you are. And they kind of can fall in love with the fantasy of you. But they'll see you in one arena or another and they'll expand that out. But you have this like entirely different side. And I think that's a good thing for people to learn, especially if you're like, I don't know, you're really good at your job, you know, and like you carry a lot of weight probably, or you're like, you are a leader or something. It's good for them to see like that you fill out that role because you need to fill out that role. And if you're not, you're letting people down. And you're really not a person that likes to let people down. This is very much a service-oriented position for you. And you're like, I'm good at my job and I am restricted in a certain way and I expect things to go a certain way because if it doesn't, it's going to cause more problems. Ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So yeah, we gotta get things kind of tightened up here at first because an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And I want to be off at 5, you know, I would like to have a burger, please. Like, you know, I don't want to be like cleaning up this mess. And so I think, the other thing is like, I think that you've assisted people in getting their time back in some way, even if they can't recognize it. When you're around, their time is respected because you're good at what you do. People don't know where to focus on you. They don't know where like that magic is. They don't know where to focus on you, but you have like a strong internal gaze actually. And it flows over into the external where you're very service oriented. So you have this strong internal gaze where you deal with yourself. You deal with yourself. You are like a very restrictive energy. And I think you've submitted yourself to a lot of authority in your life, but good, healthy authority that you lead me to the rock that is higher than I kind of a thing. And then you've really applied that. And when you focus on the external world, it is more service oriented. And it's more like, I need to be careful, like how I'm engaging with this external world. I need to be kind and respectful, and I need to, yeah, there's energy. And so it's very assistive and, but it's again, it's very, you're a person, you're actually kind of, this feels kind of realized in some way. I think that you're kind of self-realized or like you're self-actualized. Some of you are self-made. And because of that, like because of the conditions of your birth is what I want to say. And like you having to go inward and know, like you can really make something of yourself here. Even if you come from like wealth or something, because you'd still have to build yourself up in a field in order to be taken seriously and in order to overcome even a stigma of, oh, did mommy and daddy buy your way into this? Regardless of whatever this is, it's like, it's good for people to see that like you're a person, you know, you're not just your job. You're not just a robot. Like you're a person. You like to cut loose. You like to let loose. Yeah. And I think a lot of you don't really like to get involved in people's business. That might be another thing. It's like maybe in your job, or something that you do at work, you are detail oriented. You're the Queen of Swords. You know, you're very detail oriented and you'll really get in there. But in your personal life, you don't concern yourself with other people's business. You have to be invited in. And I feel like if you're invited in, it needs to be in a professional capacity. Because with your friends, I think that you're kind of just like, I love you no matter what, man. Like, and that's the role that you play. And it's important that you can play that role, I'm hearing Dr. John Deloney. He has like his show and he's a counselor. But part of the advice that he'll give people, especially men that call in, he's like, do you have some buddies that you can just go out with? And one guy said something like, oh yeah, well, my buddy's a therapist. And he was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So your buddy that's a therapist needs to be able to be your friend. Okay. So if you want to ask him for recommendations of how to find a therapist or like who he recommends, who's like solid for you, do that and say to him, I value our friendship and I need you to be here for me as a friend. But I also need this like extra support. And, so because I think that, you're good in both ways, but you're very different. And I think, you're very different in both realms. And so I think if people think that if they meet you in your job, you're very detail oriented and you're very no nonsense and you'll get right to the problem because you were hired to do that, and so that's what you're going to do. And it's very maybe strict, but you're not that way in your social life because they're entirely different to you. And people appreciate that, but it also stutters their brain. So if people hang out with you in a social capacity, they'll really be like, huh? Like you're totally chill. I feel like you're totally chill. You don't concern yourself. You're like, I don't really care. I'm just here to love you. But your love in some kind of structured arena, maybe it's not even just professionally, like this could be like there's structured time and there's unstructured time. Like your love energy very much comes through in a skillfulness and an application. You're focused, you're in there with somebody. Like, that's love. It's all love energy. Like, why am I doing this? Ace of Cups. Yo, spiritual message. With the Ace of Cups. But what is that? Yeah, some kind of clinging energy. You break the mold. Yeah. People might get very attached to you in one realm or the other. And you might actually like keeping these realms very separate. And you might not even know why you like that. And it's because you don't like to explain. You don't know how to explain to people everything that I just said. I think maybe you even had people like, I don't understand. Like I think you've been really misunderstood and like had labels attached to you in your personal life because of your professional life where people are like, oh, that person's like a type A. They're really like a stick in the mud, but you're like not. You're very much like the life of the party or something when you're very casual. And that's the way that you like it. And you're successful actually in both realms. And so I think that it's people try to stick labels to you and they just don't stick if they're halfway intelligent. But I just heard half-wit. So like for some, like there's like half-wits or something and they try to extrapolate what you're like in another arena of your life, but they've only ever experienced you in one arena, So if they've only experienced you in a professional arena, they try to, what their experience of you, they try to extrapolate about what that must mean about your personality and what you're like in a casual situation or in your relationships or your family. And they're wrong. And they're absolutely wrong. And they're just doing that because they want to make you lessen. Because I think people are intimidated by your energy because you have kind of the full package. This is what I'm getting. And for some of you, you've got the package. You know what I'm saying? If that applies. Okay, so let's see. Do I want a different deck? I think I might. Well, no, I don't know. Okay, I just felt like that feeling of like exhaustion, but in a good way. Some of you are like very active because I kind of felt like what it feels like after you've spent the day on the lake doing like water sports, like skiing or, and you've been in the sun and you've exerted yourself, in some way, but it's like in a social way and it feels like really good or something. So, it could be to do with that. People love that about you. I think that you're really impressive. Some of you like individual sports, even if you don't recognize that. Actually, that's not true. Because I think I just saw people like playing touch football or something. So I feel like you're really active. I also think that you provide some kind of protection and you don't even mean to, where like people kind of can't get in. And it feels like the halfwit energy or the slimy creeps that just wish that they could reduce your energy with words alone. They wish that they could say like, oh, because you're this way, that you're anal and like anal retentive, and that but you're not. You're really not. You're that way where it's effective to be that way. And I think this person or whoever's judging you can't be that way. And so they want to just demonize being that way. They're like, oh, well, they're just anal. Do you really want to be with somebody who's like anal their whole life? Really, you're the life of the party. Like when you're in like a social arena, and in your relationships. And you actually give people the room to breathe around you. And so you do kind of provide a certain amount of protection around you from these like creeps or something. And I think people maybe have watched you deal with a person like this. Maybe a person who's given them trouble. They could have had like a one-to-one where they're like, I don't really like that person. But you just kind of, it's water off a duck's back, because also I just feel like you're like pissant. Like you really think that's another thing is I feel like you have a lot to give and offer, and you don't think that you're more important than other people. But these people like who have to, they're not working on their actual skill set or being of service. And so they don't really have as much to give. They're not as good at their job. They're not as good at like even socializing. And those are the people who try to grow tall by cutting off the heads of others. And it just doesn't work around you. Like not in the same way. Even like if these people try to throw punches, they just look like the bully that they are, because you are maybe the alpha in the room. Even if you don't think of yourself, you have a lot of gravity in a room where people respect you and look at you. So people maybe try to come at you in order to knock you off your perch so that they can have it. And it just never works, even if they think it works. Because some of these people are legit dumb and like they think that it works and they think that people respect them, and they don't. And they just can never understand why they can never topple your energy. And it's because you're so benevolent and they're actually not benevolent. And when you are in your Queen of Swords energy and you go at somebody, it's because it's true, and it's because it benefits the group in some way. You would, I think, keep quiet if it didn't benefit. And if you were just leaving somebody out. So it's not ever selfish, but where like these other people can do it, where these other people take shots, it's really selfish, and it's because they feel insecure, and all that's seen and recognized by other people. And it creates this kind of nice sheltering tree energy of where people feel like, like finally somebody was able to bind this energy that I think just stinks up the room, energetically just stinks up the place, if it's not just dealt with and just been like, I'm literally hearing the word pissant, which my dad used to say that a lot when I was a kid, and I looked up what it meant, and it means somebody who thinks that they're more important than they actually are. And I think it's with words, somebody who thinks that their words should carry more weight. And it's like, you're literally dumb and you don't use words correctly, and you use words for selfishness and to try to, for popularity contest and for gain, and it's just stupid. It's literally dumb, and people don't respect it. But this person kind of has to be contended with, like put up with, because if people who have tried to kind of go at it, I think this person will just like dominate them. They know that this person's wrong, but they just know that they're a bully, so they kind of don't want to go after it. But I feel like you will just kind of nonchalantly, just kind of even almost without trying, just kind of, your energy just reveals those people to be what they are. And so people just kind of naturally don't take them as seriously, and they either can't get in because you don't let them in, or you get what I'm saying, right? I can't stop laughing. Dipping out for a while. Take care. Bye. Oh my gosh. Yeah. You're really balanced. And like when people who are in relationship with you really, really value you, like especially your romantic partners, and they feel like you're really well balanced, and that you are a really well balanced couple with them. And you also don't take, like you tend to know counterfeit energy. Maybe you've learned this the hard way, because I think for some of you, you haven't like valued yourself, not because you don't want to value yourself, not because this is a self-esteem issue, but because I think you underestimate just how special and important and heavyweight your energy actually is. You just think that other people are the same way. And I think there's a part of you that would just kind of like to keep to yourself a bit. Like you're not trying to like PR yourself, I think attention maybe comes to you kind of naturally, or it has like over the years. And maybe you're the last one to know, or you're the last one to kind of recognize that as you've been kind of working on yourself, or like working on perfecting your craft, that people are like, wait a second, you got something figured out over there. I really like to be around you. And you're the last person to kind of realize that. Yeah. And there's a sense of you like leading others to victory as well. Like you're headed to your own victory, but it's like a rising tide lifts all boats. That's kind of the energy. You're like, we all, as I do better, we all do better. Like, unless you're one of these like weird people who is, because they're not just coming after you. This person kind of does that. They try to like other people. So except for you, you got to play nice kind of a thing. Yeah. I actually feel like there's a stalking energy here, but you don't recognize it too. Somebody here is really trying to, I don't know if people do this to other people because you kind of provide a sheltering tree, or it's like somebody keeps trying to offer you these like weird offers, and they want you to be in a position of like neediness towards them, and they want to seem like they have like the offer, and you have you're just really strong internally. And I think you can kind of see through it. And maybe you've helped other people be this way where they don't have to take some kind of other shiny offer. Maybe you come into people's lives just like at the right moment when somebody is making this kind of like weird, hairy offer to them. And you're like, you soothe them. This is maybe crossover into pound number 1. Yeah. And it puts people on a different path. That's definitely for some of you as well. Yeah, because somebody here is like angling for some kind of materialism, and that's like either through you or around you. And somehow you have a way of like not without even looking at something directly. It's like you just kind of show people not to do that. Yo, somebody is so mad. Somebody here is so mad about your energy. And this is like what they love about you. And I think that maybe there's a lot of people. Have you heard that phrase that says like, judge me by my enemies? So like your enemies are annoyances to like a lot of people. Like a lot of people think that they're bullies and that they don't like them. And so it actually speaks very highly of you, the stances that you take and the people that you choose not to hang out with. But it's like people feel that they have to put up with those people because they've maneuvered themselves into some kind of power position in society. These are people that focus on positions and they just want to get that position. They're not the best one for that position. They don't care about being effective at their job. They don't care if everybody, including them, would be better served if somebody else was in that position. They don't care. They just want recognition and they want accolade or they want to control. It's a very controlling energy. And this person's like very pissed off at you. And it's because they don't have the truth. And that person will grow to love you. It's giving Nelson Mandela with that guy that like beat him up in prison, you know, and he became like his staunchest friend and like his staunchest loyalist. I think that you've got a bit of that like shaping up with somebody here who's like a real fucking menace, like just a real annoyance to a lot of people. And you're just like so balanced and you listen to some kind of higher energy. This person may be a slave to convention or like other people might be a slave to convention. And I think that you show up in some way conventionally attractive or conventionally successful, but that's not what controls you. And so you can kind of dip in and out of convention. Maybe somebody here, they're kind of annoyed because they expect you, and this is part of like this fantasy, they expect you to be one way and you're not that way. And that could again be because they've seen you in 2 different arenas and they've extrapolated a lot of things about you that are just flat not true. And this person I think maybe is observant, but again, they don't have the truth about you because this ephemeral quality of the heart of you, this person doesn't understand the heart of you. And so they've been trying to destroy you. And in trying to destroy you, I feel like somebody here has gotten to know you and they actually love you and they respect you and they admire you. And I feel like it's turning their energy around. And this is kind of, again, jumping back over to pile number 1, but it's a really messed up way of kind of going about it. But this person, you will heal this person. Well, they're healing themselves kind of like through coming at your energy, because I'm seeing this person coming at your energy and like they're becoming more and more human. Actually, like as they're doing it, they're becoming more and more human and something is like bouncing kind of off of them. And it feels like some kind of demon juice or something. It's like kind of bouncing off of them. And you know, like in Beauty and the Beast, how like at the end, it's like he was a beast, but then he turns into like the man and it's like all kind of sparkly around him there. That's like what I'm seeing. And this person's like, I'm a prince. Like I never knew I was a prince. I should be behaving like a prince. And you're like, yeah. So does that mean you're going to stop battle ramming everything just for the sake of it? You freaking animal, you know, like this person, somebody here is like through coming at your energy. It's because they don't understand it. And they're going to have some type of passionate beginning. And it's like, it's weirdly shaping up through a lot of kinetic energy, like a lot of movement, and they're going to have some kind of opportunity. And I think it's leading them maybe away from you, unless they're going to become a protector of you. Because they have to recognize, I think somebody here thinks they're on your level. They actually think, whoever this bullying energy is, and people love you for kind of putting in their place or like keeping at bay just because of your own, you called this person out, but it feels like your energy and how dignified you are, or how like you don't let this person affect you, or the way that you deal with this person. Other people love you for that. But this person, has gone from thinking that they were the King of Swords and the 5 of Swords and thinking that they're hot shit when really they're not. And they've done nothing in their life to try and, qualified. They've submitted themselves to no genuine authority. They just maneuver. You've made them realize that they're in the 4 of Pentacles, that they're an emperor wannabe, and that they're actually lacking in a lot of ways, and that they're stuck and they're stagnant because of their own shortcomings. Whereas this is a person who thinks that other people are taking up their spot. when they don't try to be worthy of a spot. They're actually not taking up their spot. That's laughable, and this is a person who will feel genuinely victimized when they don't get chosen. But you're like, did you go to school? Did you get a degree in that? Have you submitted yourself to hours of practice? And the answer is no. But whoever got that job legitimately has done that. They're just not full of themselves, and they don't throw their weight around, and they don't, this person's like very obsessed with appearances or something. Yeah, they're learning. Somebody here is like actually learning, and they do kind of appreciate that. And they're learning because something has not come up for them, that they thought should have come up for them. And then they've had to go through a period of anxiety. And there's something here of like chewing on your energy that is connecting them with their higher purpose here. It presents as an obstacle. This is very Saturnian energy. It presents as an obstacle, but it's actually aligning them with some kind of higher goal. And this is very like somebody here, right? It's like if you shoot for the stars, if you shoot for the moon, at least you'll land among the stars, right? This person needs a higher goal, and they don't understand that. A higher goal than you, or a higher goal than position. And that's what you have. You have some kind of higher goal that this person doesn't understand. And it pulls up your energy in a way that makes you robust, and it makes you different. And that's the thing that this person's really looking for. I just heard charm. Maybe they think that something here is a charm, or they think that you have a certain charm, like Aladdin's lamp, that if they can just get that. And it's not. You are dedicated. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. I actually think your strength comes from a devotion and a loyalty to God. In some way, to something that is higher than you, that you have recognized genuinely is higher than you. And you've submitted to that, and you've prostrated to that. And that has it's the way that you carry your energy. It's got you in the right alignment. It's got you in the right position. This person doesn't understand that because they really lack energy. So they are trying to, I think, go after your position. I think they've done this to other people, and they're like, why can't I get through? And it's because you kind of represent their karma here. It presents as an obstacle, but actually it's offering another path here that's better for them in the long run. And I think it leads away from you, and it leads to something higher that they need to fixate on. And that's the answer. And I think maybe there's a tower. There's some kind of tower that's come in, because somebody here is like very prideful. Just very prideful, egotistical. They think that their shit does not stink. This person really, genuinely does. And I think maybe they've said these things about you, but it's because they don't understand you. And again, they only know you in one arena of your life, and then they've extrapolated all these things and what it must mean about you, that I'm hearing things like frigid or cold, or, and you're not that way at all. And this person hasn't gotten to know you, but they want to hate you for some reason. And I think that they've been stagnant, and they've been made to see something from a different angle. And I think it also might be you. Again, it has to do with this convention thing where you've been like by them, and maybe there's like a little mob around them that likes to worship bullies, because there's always a couple stragglers. But yeah, like they are realizing that maybe in some way they hung you on this tree, and they try to demonize your energy. And maybe it just enlightened you. This is like something that like didn't have the effect. Somebody here successfully outcasted you, but then you got enlightened, and you were like, I accept this is for what it is. I trust my path. I trust my spirit guides, or whatever this is. And you became like enlightened. You saw from a different perspective, and it elevated you in some sense. And this person is now in some kind of stagnated position, and potentially there's like this mob energy that has like kind of relegated them to the sidelines, but this feels like in a healthier way. And it's because this person doesn't know how to behave. And it's because they've genuinely demonstrated bad, unsocial behavior, non-cooperative behavior, Machiavellian behavior, strategic, psychopathic, even like powery kind of dynamic behavior. And somebody here is like recognize that. And so they've been outcasted themselves, I think. Yeah, and they're thinking, they're realizing their foolish ways, and they're so impulsive, and they're recognizing their temper, and they're recognizing that they don't have a plan and stuff. They're recognizing a lot of things about them that's not like you. But this person thinks that they're like you. This person thinks that they're on the same level as you, and that they can do the same things as you, and that they can do the same job in the same position as you. And it's because they're full of ego and hubris. And so it's lying to them, and it's like, no, you are not that way. And it's because they think a leader is boisterous. They think a leader sucks up everything. But really, a leader is somebody humble, somebody who's taken their licks in life, and somebody who has like submitted themselves to some other authority, and it's very service oriented. It's not really ultimately about you. And when you have something to say, you know what that feels like. This is a group that knows what that feels like. You have to say it because you're like, oh my God, like, this is the thing that would make the difference. And like, you don't have to be making that mistake or something. And it's not rescuer, victim, persecutor, but it feels like it just kind of comes up and out of you. It's very dharmic energy, and very much like that Jesus energy of if you bring forward what is inside of you, and what's inside of you, it feels like a diamond. It feels like there was a lot of pressure, and you were like, I can't figure this out. And then you did figure it out. And then you have this beautiful thing to offer. And this person wants to be like, They want to mimic. It feels like a mimic. And they think this person genuinely believes that they're mimicking you is the same thing that you're talking about. They actually believe that. And I think we have a lot of empathy because I know like that's kind of the thing when you have a teacher of any kind, when you're like, okay, I think I'm kind of getting it, and you go through the motions. But the humility part is, you're kind of going through the motions and you know that you've got to bump into things and learn how to fix things, and and you'll submit yourself to that process, and you'll know that that's the way to kind of bring something about from inside of you and not just try to take what somebody else has done. This person doesn't understand that, and they genuinely, I think, believe that their mimicking of you and other people is the same thing, and that if they put themselves in there with a mimic energy, that they can accomplish the same things as you. And they really just want, I think, adoration or and they're actually very defensive. They also seek out these positions because they're defensive, and they don't want people to see that they're the Knight of Wands, that they don't have a lot of staying power, and that they don't have a lot of staying power. They're in and out of certain things, so they start a lot of projects that they don't complete, and they have a lot of fire energy. They fancy themselves the King of Wands. They fancy themselves like noble and having some kind of plan and like staying power. And I think that actually there's a rival energy around, either for your attention or for a position, or it's like you are a rival, and you're much more calm and compassionate and loving. And there's like Wheel of Fortune energy here, like the hand of God like has brought you together. And it's bringing in a sense of brotherhood. Like this person's recognizing that the thing that they're missing is brotherhood, because they were always trying to defeat other people in order to like find their place in the world, and like they want an exalted place. But I think you've taught this person something about brotherhood. They didn't understand that about your energy. And it's because, again, they only saw you in one arena. So they're like, oh, well, you just want to be dominant in your career. But actually, like, you're very service oriented. And if they got to know you, which this person just has an edge to them where they just don't want to get to know you because they don't want their worldview to be challenged. It's very stubborn kind of energy. So you've given them this other side of things. And I think that they've witnessed you having some kind of spiritual inheritance in some way because you've given a lot. And so karmically, you've poured into something bigger than you. And that energy is like coming back to you. And it feels very nurturing and back and forth. Well, this person doesn't understand that. And so would always kind of try to undercut you or undermine you, rival for positions. And if you feel like this is a personal attack, it's not. This is just the way that this person is in the world. And so they love you for that. And I think that they're going to recognize that they would rather be, why have friends when you can have enemies? Or why have enemies when you can have friends? Why? This person also doesn't realize they go around making enemies, and then people, whenever they've got a chance to just like boop, move something, they will in the future karmically, because they have the right to do that, to karmically balance out that situation. That's very tit for tat. And it'll keep you stuck in a karmic loop where you just kind of whack-a-mole, go back and forth with each other instead of transcending that. And you've shown this person how to transcend that. Why have enemies when you can have friends? Because this person's like, oh, I'm always going to climb to like the top of things. And they make enemies everywhere that they go. And then they're surprised when people don't want to go along with their plan or don't want to help them because they've never helped anybody else. And they didn't recognize that there are people out there who are genuinely cooperative when it calls for it. And I'm not telling you to be nice to people like this, because you have to know the difference. And this is a group that knows the difference, because you're just kind of putting yourself and your project and your people like at risk to have people like this around. And for some of you, you pass some kind of judgment on this person and you are right to do so. But this person is so egotistical that they cannot neutrally, it's kind of giving narcissist, because a narcissist can never accept or even consider the thought that they were in the wrong. This person like has that vibe. But you could have passed some kind of judgment and you were like, no, I'm not assigning you to this position, or no, I'm not assigning you. And I think it's because you knew this person's uncooperative. And so they were like, they got pissed off and they're like, I will destroy you. And they just wanted to hate you for no reason. And they don't recognize that because this person has very little insight into themselves. They don't hold themselves accountable. And they kind of, it's weird. They have a weird relationship with authority, because when this person doesn't do this, life, Mother Nature, I want to say, will push forces towards this person to kind of reel them in because they're not doing it themselves. This feels very healthy masculine. Even if you are a woman, you have like a healthy masculine energy where you're like, I don't need my mama, okay, to come in and knock me down, okay, because I am disciplining myself so that I can do and be and get to where I want to go, but this person doesn't understand that. They don't understand that fundamentally they're fucked up, and like their approach to things it causes this whack-a-mole energy all around them, and they can never get ahead. But this is a person who's very much stuck in the short-term karmic loops where they're like, oh, it's very gambling energy as well. I don't know if this person has a gambling addiction, but they're like, oh, this next time is going to be different. When no, it won't. This person kind of slow in terms of like picking up on patterns, especially social patterns. They don't understand how life works, and they are absolutely uninterested in actually reflecting on the way that life works, because life gives them a lot of information and they don't want to sort through it. They just think that their way is like the healthy way. It's the right way. It must be, because, and I think that they want so badly to diminish your energy, because how could you know something that they don't? How could you have mastered something? And the answer is humility. You have humility. You don't feel like you need to be the top of the pops. And if the day comes where you're not supposed to be, then you won't. You're happily gonna, bring somebody else in or go sit in the back so that you can learn. And ironically, that's what keeps you strong, or like on in the know of like what the current knowledge is because this is a person who also will find some knowledge, grab onto it, make it their identity. And even though things kind of are ever changing and moving on, and we have more nuanced ways of understanding the world all the time, this person just wants to have control over something. But in order to have control, something has to be dead. It can't be continually changing and growing. But life is, and we are, and you know that. And so this person doesn't want to, because that means taking on the role of the student, and the student by nature has to be humble. I also think this person maybe had some struggles with teachers where they're like, that person's stupid and they don't know what they're talking about. And they have no respect for the fact that somebody has really put themselves through the paces. This is also a person that might be like, college is stupid. Just as a blanket statement, college is stupid. And anybody who subjects themselves to that, they only must be doing it for superficial reasons. They must not be gaining anything out of it. And it's just because this person's like a sore loser, That's just what this is. But they love that about you, that you've really, you have demonstrated, I think they've disrespected your energy in some way, the way that they view you, the way that they speak about you, the way that they entertain you. They've tried to put you down in some way and diminish like who you are and what you've done, and like your fitness for a role or position. And it's just because they wanted it for themselves. This is just, I hate this energy. I really do. This is like, but you've seen through it and you've cut it off. And even karmically, I feel like maybe you've closed out a cycle with somebody. But again, I think that, and maybe they tried to confuse you, and they tried to like maybe give you options, or they tried to be an option for you. They try to tempt you with the 7 deadly sins, greed, envy, lust, whatever. And you just saw right through it and you were like, no, I don't need any of that. There's that like not neediness. And I think there's something about your energy where you're used to living stark, or you're not above living stark. You've already came from the gutter looking like my mother. That's Lil Wayne. Yeah, like you're like, I know what it feels like to not have much, and I know what it feels like to be happy. I don't need things to be happy. So there's not this clinging. This person feels like they're so dependent on materialism to prop themselves up, and they don't acknowledge that. Yeah, the emperor. They want to be the emperor. So there's you are the opposite to somebody here. You are just like their counter force, counterbalancing opposite energy. And I think kind of it's very Nelson Mandela-y, where you've had to come up through like the weaker position, and you've done that as a sacrifice to sacrifices to make sacred for the brotherhood between the two of you. I feel like there's been blood spilt here. This person's drawn blood, and that I don't know if that's in a genuine way, or like they've hurt you, harmed you in some way, and felt justified in doing it. And it's fucked up. Like this person's literally fucked up. They're crazy. They had no right to do it. They think they've got every right to do it. And but like this Nelson Mandela energy, again, like I'm not trying to give you some type of narcissist complex or anything, but like you've come up through that weaker position, and you've taken whatever this person's like thrown at you. You've still somehow managed to find your footing, and you've shown that like what's important to you is it's inner stuff. And I think like Nelson Mandela, like you might rise to some kind of acclaim, and you would deserve every drop of it, every single drop of it. And this person will know that, because they know that they were your abuser. I think that's really what this is. This person absolutely knows for a damn fact that they were your abuser. And they felt justified until you grew beyond them. And until healthy people, safe people, sane people started getting their hands and their eyes and their ears on you and started to reflect back the truth of you. And it can't be argued with. You're not even arguing for yourself. It feels like life, reality, and just the people who are also in pursuit of their own truth are just mirroring back like, yeah, this is who you actually are. Because it feels like this person tried to bury you under some type of falsity. They tried to, in order to be able to abuse you, in order to rule with an iron fist, and that's all this person has is their stupid fist. And they're going to be left alone with it, is what I'm getting. Wink. This is my father. Oh my gosh, the father energy, yeah. Yeah. And for some of you, you challenge a father. And maybe even if you're not a man, but it's like, And maybe you've brought in the Heavenly Father, if you will, some type of masculine energy. Like for me, it's Shiva, or like, even like spiritual God of Christianity. Like I grew up with that, and that's always like been a very loving, paternal energy. Jesus as well, but you've brought some type of loving masculine energy in, where it's like, consider that this is strength. Consider that when Jesus was like in a robe and wore a rope and was on a donkey for a lot in the Bible, consider that that's true masculine strength. One who conquers himself is the true conqueror, and this is somebody who is like, I don't think I should conquer myself. I'm going to conquer the world. And you're like, and everything's on fire around you. There's a growth energy here. And this person wants to be seen as a grower, as a builder, but they exhibit the exact opposite energy. And so I think that you've really come in, you've put yourself at a deficit here in order to rival this person. And I think it seems like for others, for others to get to see who this person actually is for real, that this is a bully. Don't respect this person. They haven't earned respect. They do actually need to be ostracized. This person genuinely needs to go off by themselves, and a group, a legal system needs to hold them accountable. And they need to be, the fantasy of them needs to be ripped back, and they need to be related to for exactly who and what it is that they are. This is very much the Wizard of Oz, like behind the scenes. Yeah, very, they're not different. There's a real sticking point to convention here with this person, even though I think that they're not conventional themselves. This is the kind of person that like, it's very reactive formation, ego defense mechanism. What they love about you is that you point this out. Your energy just does. But this negative person, like it's very reactive formation where they espouse to have certain values and beliefs but they do the exact opposite. And they may get discovered, found out, arrested, charged with something very opposite of like the way that they portrayed themselves. And it's always very shocking. That's an ego defense mechanism. That's a way of saying, don't look over here, look over there, where they get to be the one pointing the finger. Maybe they pointed the finger at you and you're innocent. And you're like, what? Like you get accused of being this certain way, and this person is that way. And it's kind of a mixture of projection. But there's this blend of, but I have this value, but it's actually values that you live. Maybe you haven't like spoken about them, but you live them out. And this person pretend they are the ones that give lip service. So I think people, the masses, the unwashed masses is what I heard. People who are maybe ignorant will look at that. They'll hear the words. Here's the word thing where for some of you, there's a plug-in to pile number one. They'll hear the words that this person says because they'll say, well, I believe in a family man, and I believe into this, and I'm spiritual. And they'll say all the buzzwords, but they don't actually live it out. Where you maybe don't even say the buzzwords. You maybe use mundane words, or maybe you do, but you actually live it out. And there's a difference here. Miss Smashy, thank you so much for the super chat. Oh, thanks. So this person has to realize that they're lacking in some way. And I think they need to be thrown out of some kind of conventional energy, because this person plugs into it, or they use it for mind control is what I'm getting, to control people's thoughts and minds, because there's some kind of shared culture here, and it's just easy, so cheap, so superficial to replicate. It's like they say you should never give a narcissist the roadmap. You should never tell them about yourself. Well, that's what our cultures do. They tell us all who to be. So it gives the narcissist a roadmap. So if you've wondered why narcissists, like I've just noticed this is part of entropy. Not only like our bodies and everything kind of falls prey to entropy, our cultures, the things that work for us over time fall prey to entropy. And I've just noticed that a lot of things that used to be havens, they were started by people with really positive intent, and they become this sheltering tree for the worst kind of people, because they can use it as their beard. And when more and more of those people kind of go into certain areas, the people who are genuinely good, they're like, this isn't what I thought it was. Like, this is a place of hypocrisy. And they'll naturally move away. And maybe they don't have the language for it, but they just know they don't want to be associated with it. Or like, oh, I didn't realize that this kind of thought system could also give rise and give cover to this, and I feel like you've kind of shown them that. And really anything can be used that way because of entropy, and because of like the balanced energy. So I think you represent in some way the real deal. You represent this King of Pentacles, where somebody else here, it's like this devil energy. And I think you've stayed strong in the face of temptation, outside temptation here. Because somebody, I think, was trying to bait you in order to ruin you. And to make you, it's giving reactive abuse. There's a lot of like reactive formation, reactive abuse, a lot of reaction energy. So, and they wanted to use that as an excuse to like throw you out in the cold. But I think that you actually stayed strong. Or even if that did happen, it like put you in alignment with a higher goal. Because I do think that you were stationed somewhere in order to provide this like sheltering tree energy. But I think that it absolved you of your obligation, because I think that you came in maybe with an obligation to a certain place. Could be a home, could be you came in with an obligation. So this absolves you. And this person kind of tried to take up your position and couldn't do it. There's a hole, there's a vacuum is kind of what I'm getting. And it's causing like a lot of energy to be whipped around because people, and it feels like maybe there's more than one, there's a lot of fighting. There's like a power vacuum or something here. And it is a power, you didn't have that. You had a service oriented energy, but, and it's clearing, people are getting their karma, and it has to do with like a lack energy because of like the void that you kind of left, but you were absolved of that because you were teaching people in a healthy way, which is always harder to do. You've got to be patient. They're going to mess up, but these people now it feels like bad stuff is happening. There's maybe lack energy there. Things are getting sucked out here. And it's because they've appointed and worshiped and supported mimickers and people who were trying to hurt the real people that were there for selfish reasons. And they were either that person themselves or whatever, but it feels like there's a lot of Tower energy and Five of Pentacles energy. Things are kind of coming crashing down. And you very much provide some kind of sheltering tree for yourself and for those around you. Like there's kind of they want to come in from the cold. I feel like these people kind of want to come in for the cold. And then and only then will they recognize what you truly are and that they need to give you your flowers. I don't think that you ask for it. I don't think, and I think that maybe you stay away from that energy because you don't want to feed your ego. But spirit is saying, no. There's an imbalance here and you need to give this person their props. Kind of like that guy for Nelson Mandela. He became his like number one supporter. He was his protector. If this person was your bully, they're going to be your protector. They owe you that. So karmically, Lady Justice is holding somebody here. No. You're not going to punch this person in the face ruthlessly, be the cause of their downfall, and then just, okay, I'd like to be a student now. No, you were supposed to be a student before and like learn from watching the way this person navigates through life, get curious, not be violent and shove them into a category. No. Now, move your ass to the front. Saying you're sorry is not enough. Move your ass to the front, okay? Because we got a fight on our hands here. And so if anybody's bones are getting cracked, it's yours because you're the one who put us in this position. So move your ass up to the front. You're not just a student, you're a protector. You're not just somebody who's like going to sit and take, you're an investor. No, you need to give to this space. And there's an admission there of like, this is the actual sanctuary. Somebody here has figured something out. And I'm not saying that you've got everything in your life figured out. I'm just saying there's something here where you were meant to be doing a certain job in a certain place at a certain time. And it was providing shelter. It was good for everybody. And this person tried to kick it out from under you for all the wrong reasons and then couldn't admit that they were wrong, caused a lot of destructive energy actually for a lot of people. And I think that might be karmic for the people who didn't stand up to this person or challenge them or whatever. But now it's like there's an admission. I feel like the universe, there's this big spotlight energy here. And that's why people love you, is because of what you've been through. This is kind of like again, I'm not blowing smoke, but it's very Jesus. Like, Jesus got publicly humiliated and he was like whipped and bleeding and had to carry his own cross. And it feels like somebody here tried to do that to you when knowing full well that they were the thief, they were the murderer, they were the false prophet, like knowing full well that you were accused of something that you did not do. And so people love you for that. People love you for some kind of suffering that you have endured. And in doing that, it's shown a light on who somebody actually is and what they're actually really doing. And I just heard you're going to get your reward for this. And it feels like, and again, I'm hearing that Jesus quote that says, build your wealth in the land that will not pass away. So it feels like a spiritual release or something here. And there's nurturing coming in for you as well. Because I'm seeing if you were ousted or something, then you're kind of floating up to this like Queen of Cups energy. And whoever she is, she's going to nurture you back to health. And she's got a lot of love, a lot of softness, a lot of sweetness. And I feel like you yourself will grow into some kind of Queen of Wands. And maybe there's a message. And then I just saw Simba coming back from Pride Rock. And you're like coming back and you're like, oh, I got to take on Scar, because maybe you didn't want to have to fight or something. Or some of you, that's what just happened. Like you did take on a Scar kind of energy. And Scar rules over the hyenas, all the cackling, laughing hyenas, right? In order to overthrow the lions that like represent nobility, even though that's questionable. So let him crucify me with his words. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think that somebody threw a lot of untruth on your name. And so when I think there is this Phoenix energy and it's burning up something here where you've kind of, you can't be replaced. You can't be replaced is kind of what I'm getting here. So, yeah. And you've carried things away and maybe good things too. Like you took all your good stuff like with you and you're like, fine, like if I'm not protected and safe here, then because I think this person was like, well, I'm going to rule over this and I'm going to be able to do everything that this person did because I took all their tools. But no, they didn't, because it exists inside of you. It's who you are. So anyways, okay, that was another long one. Lion King makes me cry every time. Jessica, you are fact talking. Yo. Okay, good. Glad to hear it. You guys are being funny. Okay, so that was pile number 2. and I'm going to drink some stuff and I'm going to gloss some stuff. And I just want you guys to know sometimes, because I have like the chat up here and like I can see the it's a little bit late, so I don't look at that one because I can see like what you guys can see on the screen over there. But I just have this like image of me frozen, like my eyes, I look like I've seen something like profound or something. Like I'm not gonna like switch it up because I don't want to mess things up, but I just wanted you to know that that's what I'm looking at, and it's weirding me out because it's my own face. Okay, so we'll just throw up the pile selection there. If you're just joining us, welcome. You've timed this perfectly. We just finished pile number 2, which is the father energy, and now we're moving on to pile number 3, which is the kiss. But we're gonna take a mini break. Lion King was my first cassette purchase of soundtrack. I remember listening to that in the car. And I also remember listening to Aladdin. I think Aladdin was the first movie that I saw in theaters. And I remember being really scared of that snake. Rick 'em, rack 'em, rock 'em, rake. Stick that sword into that snake. But I remember like as a kid, I was like watching it like this.
You watch movies like that today.
I know, but not Aladdin. Jafar, Jafar, he's our man. If he can't do it, great. Oh my gosh, can we see my bowl? My bowl's in the other room. Maybe Alex would get it. Thank you for remembering my bowl. Maybe the bowl is a part of pile number 3. I hope it is. That's a good bowl. And it's Pants Off Friday. Oh my gosh. Invisible husband. My invisible husband. That sounds like a good kids show. Okay, I'm just gonna show you guys this bowl. This is neither here nor there. Sorry if you were picking your pile and I'm like, look at this bowl. Look, this is this man who did it. It's A. Ulrich, 409 Walnut. That guy. It makes it so special. I just like it. I just love it. Okay, that was kind of mesmerizing. I'll put the piles back up there. Okay. I want a Jess voice button for all the creepers. I want to do voice buttons where I can like put some of the things that go through my mind all the time so I can actually play them instead of mimicking them. I like how he writes his A, right? No more bunny butt. Well, just not for now. Bunny butt will come back out in the springtime of future years.
The bowl can be the bunny butt replacement.
Oh my gosh, maybe it can. All right, sorry if you're just joining us. I'm taking a little bit of a breather break. And we're compassioning our space. Grounding it all in compassion. Read 'em, rack 'em, rock 'em, rake. Stick that sword into that snake. Bambi was so traumatic as a child. I wasn't more than 4 years old. Put the fear of losing my mom into my psyche. Oh my gosh, I wonder if that did the same thing to me. Because I remember thinking about what I would do with my mom when she passed, you know, and I thought about stuffing her. And to me, it didn't seem vulgar, you know, because a lot of people, you know, they stuff like the deer heads that they get or whatever. And I thought, well, I'll just stuff her and put her in the corner. And then I thought that might be startling for people if they came to my house. So then I was like, well, what if I made her into like a tasteful coffee table, you know? And she was just there like holding up the glass. You could put your cup there, you know? Like I remember actually thinking that. I wonder if that was like Bambi, because Bambi was also one that traumatized me. And then my dad would deer hunt sometimes, and we would always say, don't shoot Bambi's dad. Yeah. And Thumper, no thumping. Okay. Pile number 3. Pile number 3, the kiss. What do they love about you? Okay, so like, I feel like this person actually loves your mouth, and they love your kiss, and they love there's like a sensuality here between the two of you. I will say for some, and I'm not going to go down this road because it's not for everybody here, but there's like maybe a karmic thing where it's just like body stuff that this person kind of loves about you, because it feels like maybe very much in secret, and it feels like there's a fantasy kind of thing around that. But for others of you, I feel like this also could be a soulmate connection that was never realized. And there's like a fuzziness like around that. And this person, but I don't think that's body stuff. I think it's like a soothing energy. Okay. Move this down here. There could be a song energy here. Maybe some of you are songwriters, or like you saw a concert together. So we have The Bones by Maren Morris. Yeah, life sure can try to put love through it, but we built this right, so nothing's ever going to move it. Baby, I know any storm we're facing will blow right over while we stay put. The house don't fall when the bones are good. So somebody here feels like the bones are good. And then we have Falling Water by Maggie Rogers. I never loved you fully in the way I could. I fought the current running just the way you would. And now I'm in a creek and it's getting harder like I'm falling water. That I feel like is more that soulmate connection that was maybe never realized here. And then one more. Oh my gosh. Sam Hunt, Body Like a Back Road. Body like a back road. Drive it with my eyes closed. I know every curve like the back of my hand. Doing 15 and a 30. I ain't in no hurry. I'm going to take it slow just as fast as I can. So we'll leave that there. It's funny, like I'm not getting a lot from this because this feels almost private. Like maybe this person, the things that they love you, it feels like private, or it feels like your intimate moments, or like they don't want to share it because they're like, it's just between us. Like I love the energy, like just between us, kind of thing. And maybe this person is like very protective of that. This is somebody who'd be very protective of like your intimate time, like your intimate space. It's like very precious and important to them, that it's like sacred in a way. Yeah, I'm blushing. Okay, actually, this isn't clarify. Okay, somebody here might want to clarify something. Maybe, okay. It's. I feel like there's two piles here because I feel like there's some where this is a deep love that you and this person know that you love each other. It's very like protective. It's very private. But for some, the way this is coming through is like, it's still that deep love. Maybe this is the soulmate connection that was never realized. They may want to clarify some kind of triangulation, and that triangulation may have been some kind of like secret energy here. And they want to clarify that. But it feels like with that energy, they're very protective of their feelings towards you because maybe they haven't been expressed, and they want to be able to express it. I think maybe in a physical way, this might be physical touch might be a love language for this person where, and this is in either scenario, physical touch might be a love language where they would rather show than tell. They don't know how to put it into words. This is somebody that kind of wants to kiss you or wants to put their hands on your body in order to like make you realize. I also think this person, there's something about your eyes, like a stare that you have, like very intense, or like there's a lot without words in this one of like, I feel like the two of you can like lock eyes and kind of just know what the other one is thinking or know what the other one is saying. And it feels like maybe very intimate, very connected. It just feels so private and like so sacred. And so like they just want it to be between the two of you, and they don't want it to like cheapen it with words, like what they love about you. And it feels very sexual and very intimate and very physical touchy, but it also feels like they don't want you to think that it's just sex or like that it's just the physical touch here, like between the two of you, because it represents something like so much deeper. And, yeah, like I'm seeing there's a lot of emotions here that you make this person feel, because I'm seeing like crying, but not necessarily like it's like I hold you when you cry, but also like crying tears of like joy or happiness, or like it's even emotions here of like some kind of emotions. But then I'm also seeing like laughter and like so it's like the full gambit. Like it feels very like the human experience. Like this person really loves the intimacy, sharing the intimacy of the human experience with you. This is deep. It's almost like it can't be contained with words, or they don't even want to kind of put it into words, because it feels like for some though, they might like, especially if this is a soulmate connection not realized, they might have to clarify some kind of triangulation, like why there was a third party involved in your connection and why it was hidden. I just heard the word gross. Send and retreat. They might want to like send and like retreat. Send something in and then like retreat. I don't know. They daydream a lot about this though. And there's like some kind of, they're trying to accept, there's an acceptance energy that might be asking you to accept, I don't know, accept their friend request or something. But for a lot of you, I feel like there was like a very physical connection here between the two of you. And if not, I feel like there's a lot of regret around that, because it is a very physical connection. There's a lot expressed that you kind of can't express in words unless there's been that intimacy between the two of you and like hands on hands kind of thing. Okay, I'm reaching for I'm scared you're moving on. this person love about you? I've been up all night thinking about you. I've liked you for a really long time. I feel connected to you. That's it. I feel like this person almost doesn't know how to express or explain, like that they feel connected to you. They love that. They love that they feel connected to you in a way that they can't explain. And it feels like a transcendent way, a way that transcends words, a way that transcends the things that you might do together. You know, the mundanities of taking care of one another, taking care of the home, or taking care of business or whatever. And you scare the shit out of me. This person can be afraid of the intimacy between the two of you actually sometimes. Planning on calling you, I'm spying on you. So this person could be spying or trying to like make their move because they're, I don't know. It feels like they're scared of this, like in some way too. Let's see. There's a friendship between the two of you too. Like this person, the words that they would use, they would have to always caveat it, you know, where it's like, I like the friendship between the two of us, but I don't just want you to be my friend. And I don't just think of you as a friend, but like whenever I think about things that I want to like tell somebody, like I think about you, you know? Also, like you might make them feel like a kid again, you know, or there might be some kind of like nostalgia, and that might be like emotional, might be the opposite of having like a CPTSD emotional flashback that's like painful or whatever. It's like with you, it's warmth and it's love and like almost like a knee-jerk reaction kind of a thing. But I feel like there's things about this relationship that were hidden that have like revealed itself in time or can only like be revealed in time. Like as the two of you move through life together or something, there's the secrets of life. Okay, I just heard Faith Hill. The secret of life is there ain't no secret and you don't get your money back. So it's like the secret of life is there's not a secret and you just got to show up and you got to do the best that you can do, you know? Like this person feels, this also reminds me of the Carl Jung quote where he talks about marriage and the Hierophants at the bottom of the deck here, which is why I'm like thinking about that. But where they talk about marriage and like if you actually remain faithful and loyal in your relationship, that there's things that you can touch that you couldn't experience otherwise. That kind of trust and safety with another being on this planet is just it's one of the rarest things that you can experience because everything on this planet is like fighting for its space in the world, you know, its territory. It wants to put its cave. It wants to live in the cave. It doesn't want you to live in the cave. So it's going to have to run you off, you know, or, you know, it's trying to eat you and you would prefer that not happen, you know? So it's like, to experience such trust and such intimacy and such like I'm always on your side and it's not a fickle thing. I'll make damn good and well sure of it. It's rare. It's very, very rare. And you have to have that kind of like commitment. And it does feel like the bond between the two of you and the home that you make together, that's what this person loves. And it feels, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. It feels transcendent to this person. And I just saw the Lovers flash in my mind too. Like it's very passionate and it's very deep and it's very active. It's like, I actively love you and everything like, especially if you're with this person in like the same house, this person's like, everything that I do is for you. Like it might look that I'm doing the dishes, but I'm doing this because I want us to have a good life. I want you to have a good life. I don't want you to be stressed out. Like literally everything that I do. And as I live and breathe, I just heard is like, it's for you. And it's very pragmatic and it's very grounded. And, again, it feels like everything that this person would point to as an example of their love or like would use to describe it, they don't want you to get the wrong impression because it just sounds not enough to this person. It sounds so mundane and it sounds like maybe you'd get the wrong impression. But this is very much a person who wants to show up, very much wants to show up. They don't really buy the fantasy. This is somebody who doesn't really like the fantasy thing. Anybody can be held in a fantasy because the fantasy is completely under your control. This person genuinely loves the challenge and the task and the alchemical process of loving someone in the 3D and committing themselves to that. There's something not ephemeral that is very practical. Yeah, something very practical that is sweet to this person. And it's like the highest form of love. There's something here that looks very small, but it's the highest form of love. And that's like what this person has for you. This is beautiful. Wow. There's something here buried in the earthiness, buried in the mundanity that is transcendent for this person. They really can't put their finger on it, but they'll put their fingers on it, you know, but like it's something like much more, you know, behind it. This is beautiful. And it's like, this is a deep person, but this is like, they wouldn't call themselves deep, I don't think. Like this is something just very pragmatic. They're like, yeah, that's what relationship is. And you'd be like, what? That's not what relationship is. That's not what people think, you know? This is like a higher relationship. And it feels like, again, it feels so much more and it feels intertwined with karmas and putting both of you on the right path. And like being allegiant to this doesn't feel like a chore to this person, even though sometimes, I'm not saying that not sometimes it doesn't get hard, you know? to stay present or whatever, but it feels like a labor of love, you know, and like something that benefits them as well. And it's very much put them on a higher path. And it's a path where they're not selfish is kind of what it feels like. This person feels relieved that they almost don't have to think about themselves all the time and like navigate their life by themselves. And like you've given them some kind of higher purpose or something, like your relationship. And in a way, it's like not even you. It's like the thing that you're doing together. You're doing life together. And this is somebody who feels relationship is their spiritual path. They don't just feel that it is. They walk relationship as a spiritual path. It doesn't lead them further into delusion. It doesn't lead them further into fantasy, which you'll hear a lot of people on the internet conflate the two, saying that nursing some type of like fantasy about something is the same as like walking a spiritual path. But even if like this is a missed soulmate connection, trying to understand this connection would lead you further into pragmatism and further into the earthiness of it. There's a difference, right, between the two. Okay, so what else does this person love about you? Well, you're just real sweet. And this person is like saying they're sorry for something maybe. Or that maybe it's that you will say you're sorry. There's a real sense of like nurturance and balance. Okay, there's also, I was reading, I got a new book on the tarot. I like to just keep learning about the tarot. It's a really good one too. And it's called Holistic Tarot. It's like this thick. It's a big mum. And I like to just know like certain ways that people look at the cards. I like that because it's like a portal into wisdom, you know? And what they were saying about the Temperance card made me think that they were essentially describing justice, like the Justice card, but internal. Where like the Justice card is justice and balance in the external world, where Temperance feels like justice and balance. Oh, I just got goosebumps. Like on an internal world. And that's what they have and that you encourage in them, but you focus on that. Like you have this internal balance. And it feels like with concepts and also with principles that the two of you bring together in your home and in your life of like, you have a very well flushed out like principle system, you know, because sometimes our principles are at odds with one another and you know how to kind of sort that for yourself. And there's like just this balance and it's maybe been helpful and like nurturing for this person. And you also seem to beat to the rhythm of your own drum, but this also doesn't feel like you make a deal out of it. It feels like you very much go your own way. And like I said, you beat to the rhythm of your own drum, but you're not a rebel with a cause. You don't make it your identity. And a lot of people will probably not even know that you are so different and that you have a different viewpoint than a lot of people around you. Because you don't need to enforce it on anybody. That's not a part of your identity. You don't need that in order to be seen or like, but you're very different and you're also very open to different ways of life or ideologies. And possibly some of you even seek that out. You're very curious or like you want to know how other people live. And you don't, I'm hearing be curious, not judgmental. That Walt Whitman quote of, be curious, not judgmental, where you just have this open mind where you're like, tell me more about that. Instead of just shutting things down like with judgment. This person has learned a lot from walking side by side with you. If that's the case. You are very peaceful. You bring a type of peace. There's also somebody mad at this pile as well, maybe a rival. But they've ended things with that person. I feel like, and it's not even a thing. It ain't nothing but a chicken wing is what I just heard. Like, I'm not sad about it. Like there's some kind of rival energy that's very angry maybe that you're seen in this way. This person was maybe trying to have a new beginning with this person or something. And they're like, no, I feel like this person's like, no, they want to accept some type of higher cup and they feel like that's you. Yeah. And they've maybe even like gone within or spent some time alone. They've grown like with wisdom. That's what they love. And also I think you don't struggle being alone. So maybe you're not always like up this person's butt, you know, like you don't need to be entertained. It's not games or something. Yeah. You've got this is a really beautiful energy. I would feel very flattered if this was my pile because it's like you want something more. I just heard there's gotta be more to life. Stacey Orico, than chasing down every temporary high to satisfy me. Yeah. That's a good song, and there's other good things in it. You might want to listen to it. There's got to be, it's called More to Life, I think. There's got to be more to life than chasing down every temporary high. Yeah. Dang. I feel that this person, like we all do, this person does want certain things for themselves, like in the material world. They do. And they know it, but then they look at you and like somehow you ground them into like, but do we, but do we need that? Or do we, and like kind of showing them that like the internal strength is actually the way. This person could have had their heart broken, maybe by this like rival person from the past that's like very angry that they can't get back in here. But this person could have had I feel like you've helped to heal this person's heart, to be honest with you. And it's with this Saturnian energy and like kind of walking the path. The Bayou, thank you again, resonates. Yeah, it just feels like their heart is healing. They're moving away from that. And they're moving away from a karmic, it feels like through you, they're moving away from a karmic that has wounded their heart more than once. And I kind of feel like this happened in like 3 lifetimes. They betrayed them. There was a third party situation. They have some kind of karmic contract with that person. And yeah, this person's seeing this person move away and like kind of go towards you and go to something higher, head towards their own healing. And you're helping, like, again, walking the path with you is like, it's healing. It's very healing. Oh my gosh. Okay. This feels like this other person is realizing now they're in the 4 of, this is kind of reminding me of pile number 2, because I think it was something like they keep coming at you, but then they have to realize that they're the 4 of Pentacles. I think I said that, right? And then, so this person's like realizing that they're the 4 of Pentacles. So this rival also could be attached to some kind of 4 of Pentacles person. Like where they seem like they've got their stuff together on the material. They seem like they're an emperor type. They maybe seem like they've got a good partnership here, and that maybe there's a lot of confidence, but there's not. And I don't think there's actually a lot of money here. And I think they've had to start over in something. This is neither here nor there. I know that's not the purpose of the reading, but I'm just kind of reading whatever spirit is like putting out. Deborah, thank you so much for the super chat. This person feels like you're their spiritual inheritance, and they feel like meeting you changed their like destiny, changed their fate lines for the better. They think this was like divine, like a divine experience that maybe they didn't deserve. Actually, this person thinks like, maybe I didn't deserve meeting you, but then here I met you anyways, and you're the truth. And you helped me to see the truth, and you helped me to see that I need to protect my energy, actually. And that somebody here had multiple focal points. I was just one option. They had their eye on multiple things. And maybe they had their eye, somebody here, it's like, it could be that, okay, well, maybe they had their eye on love and there's like an actual soulmate connection between these 2 people. But then they also wanted some kind of material gain. And I don't think they got it. I think that whatever they went in for was like an illusion, and they got controlled. If this is a man, I feel like he's definitely not the emperor, but he can be propped up because of whoever this is. They give the illusion of that his partner will, but the partner's very much in charge. If this is a woman, then I feel like she went in for a man, maybe using her sexuality in order to, because she thought this man was the emperor and she thought that he had money or something about him, like had money, but I don't think he did. And I think both of these people can be con artists, like confidence artists, and they fell for each other's confidence act. And that's kind of their delusion, but it's their karma. And I am hearing the word punishment. I don't usually get that. It's its own punishment is what I'm hearing. Like they made their choice. They made their bed is what I'm hearing. And they fell for this like superficial, this is very superficial connection. And, but this person's moving away from that, and they're realizing like, look, this person, maybe they did love me and they wanted to actually love me, but they also have another focus, and it's on like superficial material things. And there's something where it's like, you get what you deserve, because you went in, all you cared about was the material, and you sacrificed a good person and like a soulmate connection or genuine love that somebody had like in order to obtain that. And I'm just seeing it disintegrate in somebody's hands. It feels like that. Like there is no true wealth. Like if you don't have the one that you're meant to be with. This feels like builder saboteur kind of thing, but you help this person see that, and they feel like you were their alternative path because they finally woke up. It feels like something like that. And maybe there's a mirroring between the 2 of you, but it, like where you both had that experience with a previous partner or maybe previous partners. And I think it reflects some kind of inner space where it's like, well, I have a material focus, but I also have the spiritual focus, and you helped each other choose spirit is kind of what it feels like. Yeah. So they feel like when they started to see through the illusion of this like former partner, and like that they're kind of superficial. They're kind of chintzy. They did something over here that they shouldn't overlook, and in favor of a fantasy that never existed. They feel like that changed their destiny, and that I think spirit genuinely rewarded this person with a potential of going down a path with you. And I think they had to choose that path, and I think they had to nurture it. I think you both did. I think you both had to tend it and nurture it. If this is not resonating, this is who's coming in for you. But I think it's because you've seen past this, and it's opening up some kind of other opportunity in another door. You've invested a lot, or this person invested a lot. It feels like over lifetimes with this other person, but they're recognizing, look, that didn't happen. So yeah, there was a tower. It feels like maybe it started in their intuition first. They kind of knew this person, that there was something hidden about this person, and they turned a corner in their soul because they looked at the truth. Somebody here did. And I don't know if they feel like you helped them to do that. It feels like one and the same, like kind of going with you and being with you. They got a taste of what the real deal is, or they saw a reflection of themselves. Because again, both of you, I think, maybe have this going on in the background. Yeah. And the two of you, I don't know. It's like you had the opportunity to go to a higher path because you both understand each other, because you've both been put through the ringer by a karmic from your past, is what it feels like. And they just appreciate this. The love and the safety that you guys have chosen. This feels like this feels like I left both of you, I think. I left a fantasy and chose something real. And I am so grateful every single day that I did that. That's what it feels like. Because it's the real deal. And I think it makes somebody here actually feel innocent, like a child again. Like they can actually express where maybe they thought that was the case here. But actually they always had to be on their guard because they were with somebody not great in the past. And maybe chose somebody else over them, or okay, what does this person love? There's something here about growth. Okay, because we had the growth and carried away, and I didn't move them from the table, and I looked down and saw this immediately, but I was like, no, I don't want the energy to like fold over. But actually I looked down and I saw the green. So where before they just had a fantasy of things growing with another person, but that person wasn't whole, they had the multiple focal points. And with you, there's a love energy here, a heart chakra energy, and it grows, and it's not a fantasy. And you've actually helped them leave the fantasy. And actually, once they left the fantasy, things started to really grow for this person. And that includes you in some way. So there's a lot of growth here. You bring in a lot of growth of the heart space and carry things away. You've like, this relationship feels like it's helped to flush out like the fantasy and the burden of this like past karmic and of some kind of fantasy. If it's not an actual karmic, then it's a fantasy about love and what a partner would look like, what love would be. It's flushed that out, and it's led to some kind of healing process. Also, this person could have been gossiped about. Maybe both. There seems like a strong mirroring here in this. This person could have been gossiped about, and it's a fantasy, and it was meant to keep them restrained in some way. And you love them maybe through that. This is kind of, what's that Taylor Swift song? King of My Heart, maybe? Or maybe it's Delicate. I don't know. That time in her career and life of, I know my reputation's never been worse, so you must like me for me. So, yeah. And maybe they were heartbroken or something like, but on a spiritual level, at least it was designed to keep this person in like a pin, in like a holding pin, and caught in some type of fantasy. So that somebody could come in and out as they wanted to. Somebody here was going to come back. And they wanted them not to see what they had built with somebody else. And what they're doing in like a routine. They wanted them to think of them as somebody who maybe upholds, who is doing the right thing, and somebody who's noble in that way. But actually they're seeing that they wanted to blind this person. There was a desire to blind this person. And I feel magic kind of coming through. It doesn't feel like this lifetime though. It feels like I'm kind of getting 3 lifetimes where this person's done that and they've hurt this person's heart. But it feels like there was a sorcery kind of magic. This is like the Egypt thing in denial, where this person with a group of ne'er-do-wells kind of did some magic so that they could have their cake and eat it too. And so that they could have this power to like blind people. That's the way it comes across to me. That doesn't mean that that's real or that's true, but that's the way it comes across to me. That they've dabbled in something here. Some kind of manipulation tactic. They've learned how to do this is what I feel. And they've learned how to put this energy at somebody to kind of keep them trapped in a fantasy and to blind them with their energy. But it's not real, And it's so that they can have their cake and eat it too. And their cake and eat it too is materialism in some way. So they want to be looked at a certain way. They want a partnership in the light of day. And that person would need to be materially oriented, have something on a material level. But then they have their actual soulmate here, or somebody that they feel love for. And they're like, well, I don't want to be, it's disrespectful. It's harmful, you know? And actually, I think part of the balancing out here is that this soulmate is going to grow into the person that will have all the things that this person sought out on a material level, and also be their soulmate, and also be out of reach. And also whatever this is going to come crumbling down. It just feels like when somebody takes their power back and exits the fantasy, it can't be any other way. And so they appreciate this journey that the two of you have gone on together. And I'm seeing, again, with the hand holding here, it's like there's this pact, this sacred pact between these two of like, I will walk with you through the darkness, is what it feels like. And it feels like you're both doing that for yourselves and freeing yourselves, but also for each other. And this just feels really powerful. And this feels forged in something, really. It feels very real. Yeah. Very well balanced partnership between the two of you. Somebody here though, like I always notice this when he was like looking at the victory wreath on her. And again, I think that somebody here saw another person as their victory in the material world, but doesn't want to be seen as like materialistic or selfish or, you know, and so kept this person in a holding pen. Judgment of the Knight of Wands. Yeah. You've brought about some kind of judgment energy. And you've helped them have an epiphany about this person, that they're the Knight of Wands, and that they're not the Emperor or the Empress. They're the Knight of Wands. They're in and out. They're selfish. They're maybe they've got a lot of energy, but they don't apply themselves. And it's had some type of epiphany. You've helped this person achieve some kind of epiphany for themselves, and you didn't push it on them. You didn't push it on them. So yeah, it's beautiful. The holding pen is resonating. Yeah. I just heard the word beautiful. This person, everything about this energy feels very graceful and very beautiful. So they think that you're really beautiful, but that you also are beautiful on the inside. You have a very graceful energy. There's beauty. Okay. I just heard from that Alicia Cara song, it's like there's beauty in pain. No, there's pain in beauty, and there's beauty in everything or something. You've helped this person see the beauty in everything, even the pain that they went through. It feels worth it to have found you. You're very much a sanctuary energy here. It's very much like giving the star, that like healing, calming, peaceful, a little bit cool, aloe vera, kind of like aloe vera at nighttime after you've been on the beach, but you didn't get burned too badly, and the wind is blowing ever so slightly, and the stars are out overhead, and you can smell the salt of the beach. That's the kind of healing, cooling, moonlit beach for those of you that have that, like that kind of scent blowing through the air, like that kind of cooling, calm, relaxing effect. Whereas this other energy was very agitating, very heat, was the sunburn. I feel like was the sunburn. Oh, look, summer. Summer could be significant here. Summer where, and then we have 6. So like the 6th house, routine, habits. You show up. This person's like, where are you, to this other person? You're nowhere to be found. You're just a fantasy or ephemeral. Like, where are you? You didn't show up. You show up. You're the 6. You're the habits, service, routine, duty, skill, nurturing. You give. Nothing is like hidden here. And yeah, the ... So something here could have been on pause, like with another person, or they thought that it was because they were still stuck in the fantasy, like whenever they met you. Incomplete, pause, reflection. They started reflecting on it. Oh, look, the Justin Bieber album dropped, and there's the song Daisies or something, and it's like the 3 dots, but I can connect them. Yeah, so somebody here was like reflecting and like connecting certain dots here. Maybe about a third party situation. There's 3 dots, but I can connect them. And I just heard, since you've been gone, I can breathe for the first time. You're like the breath. You're the first breath that I feel like this person breathed when they surfaced from some kind of like fantasy. Yeah. So I think that's enough there for Pound. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful energy. And you're the real deal. And I think that this feels very comrade. Like you guys were together in the war. You guys were together in the trenches, like on a spiritual level kind of a thing. And it'll never be forgotten. This is a genuine, like, this is a beautiful energy. And also you might know this person from like, this feels like maybe way in your past lives. Like you guys used to have a really strong connection, but maybe you haven't been around each other in a while. And it could be because you went down these other paths and met these other people that had this like fantasy weird shit. And actually you were brought back together because you have a soulmate connection. Yeah. This is like a reunion. And there's like a lot of abundance actually between the two of you and your soulmate connection. And, I think as souls, you were like, oh, I'm going to go down here because there's no rush like between the two of you of like, when are we going to experience this bounty or this harvest? And it feels like together in this lifetime you have, and it is like a wish fulfillment. And I do feel like weirdly, it does give you something on a material level that is a wish fulfillment. And it might not be your wish fulfillment. It might actually be like these other people, something about their wish fulfillment that you are actually given because they were trying to take it and they were trying to scheme all around at the expense of their soulmate connections. And the two of you are going to show them how it's done. You know, we remember each other from back in the day. We're soulmates, and we're going to show you what that looks like when you're not being a cotton-headed ninny muggins. I just heard. Secret and justice. Like there's some kind of balancing out here of, so maybe this feels so private, actually. Like this person likes the privacy of like your connection. And it could be that like these other people didn't know that y'all were seeing each other or something, that you were like, I don't know that you're trying to keep it a secret, but you are maybe keeping something a secret here about like what you've learned or something. Yeah. It just feels like it could have started off like, yeah, it feels like maybe both of you didn't know if you were going to go back to a connection that was kind of a fantasy from your past when you met this other person, but you've seen the light, you've seen something different. You've seen something more valuable and more worth it. You've seen what it feels like when somebody shows up and matches your energy, and that's kind of worth its weight in gold. Because this other person's just a fantasy, and also they use it. They use that fantasy energy to be selfish on purpose. There's an intent here to blind you. They know what they are, and they know what they went after. They know that they're superficial. They know that they're materialistic. They know it. They know that they were keeping two parts of themselves very separate, and it's giving double life energy. They know that. So once you see that about this other person, and I feel like you both have kind of seen that about somebody from your past here, you don't want to go back. You would rather have a person that doesn't want to be that, you know, just for themselves. They don't want to be that, because how could you like wreck the altar of love so much? Because I feel like you're very much lovers. Like the two of you genuinely like are lovers. And it's like, I would hate to have done that to somebody that I love so much, because I feel like this is a group that really loves love, like actually believes in love, and again walks it as a spiritual path, and that's reciprocated in another person. That the honoring, the duty of love, that's not a chore. These people are like, ugh, what a chore. And it's like to them, you feel bad for those people, because to them they lack wisdom, they lack second sight, they lack far sight. They're blind. And I think that you have compassion, and you're like, and I just heard I was blind, but now I see. The two of you together. So that was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. And I'm just going to put a little pause here, take a brief, momentary, few minute break, and I will be back, and then we'll do the general messages. Okay, I'm back. And I was like, when I ran back and forth there, I also just channeled. So I don't know if this is relevant, but I feel like, okay, so that if you know the Queen of Wands and the Four of Pentacles, that karmic little couple that we saw there, the dynamic kind of fizzles out between them, because I feel like if the woman that's using her sexuality to get with that man, she loses respect for him if she can get him that way, because it's about the conquest and it's about like the power. And so if he stays away from her and is actually like an emperor, there's like a wow, you know, that guy's like very strong, like I wish that I could have him. But the moment that she can get him and trap him, she loses respect and he becomes the Four of Pentacles, and she doesn't understand that. And so I feel like for those of you maybe who are male, or I don't know, take this how it resonates, even if it's your gender. But even if you just decided that you don't want to go back in for a fantasy, you know, and maybe it's hard at first because you still feel a pull, but you know, and you're still buying into the fantasy of it. Just being away from that person is making them respect you, and it's making them want you. And that might be part of the material thing, that the justice energy that you didn't necessarily ask for, but you're getting anyways, like where this person's like, wow, you know, just because you said no, because you've got this other connection and it's real, and you know that what you liked about that person was just a fantasy and that they did it on purpose and it's not real, and you'd rather have the real prize than the fake prize, you know, kind of a thing. So, okay, that just felt like, I don't know, it came out, and so I'm just sharing it. Okay, so we shall do the general messages, and we'll compassion. Everybody's on their own journey, you know, got to figure themselves out here. Blessings. Okay. I'm trying to work through this rose water because I started to use the new one before I finished the old one. Oh, did we do it? No. Dang. There you go, soul. He's looking at me like, what are you doing? But in a cute way, you know? All right. So, spirit general messages. Okay, I literally just heard it again while I was looking at the Libra energy. There's beauty. There's beauty in pain, and there's beauty in everything. What's a little bit of hunger? I can wait a little while longer. She fades away. She don't see her perfect. She don't understand she's worth it. Oh, that beauty goes deeper than the surface. Yeah, I don't know. That's maybe relevant here. About like beauty and pain, and there's beauty in everything. But this Libra card, I feel like there's a relationship that's blocked out, and I feel like it's absolutely fair and it's absolute justice for people to be separate here in order to balance something out, because there is a Chitra energy that's coming through. Somebody here may have very sparkly eyes, or very something about the eyes here and like the stare. But Chitra energy, as we've said a million times on this channel, it is it's notoriously one of the more painful places in the zodiac, because you're chipping away a huge rock of karma. So it's almost like saying no to a relationship here. And this feels like with a very manipulative person or something. It's actually that relationship, that karmic relationship, and having a certain person here in your life in a routine fashion gives rise to a lot of karmic relationships and a lot of karmic situations, because I'm seeing that like spread out like veins, you know, like more and more veins, but this is the focal point. So this is some kind of message here of like focusing on this relationship, of getting rid of this relationship with this particular person. Maybe I don't know, whoever this is, starting there, and it's hard and it's painful, but you're kind of just chipping away at it. That is the give point where this huge karmic rock is. You're getting rid of a lot of karma by just getting rid of this one relationship that's, I feel like, maybe routinely somehow embedded themselves into your life in a routine way. This could be a parent. This could be a child I just heard. This could be like an adult child. Obviously you have like responsibilities, but it feels like over time, this person has like really embedded themselves in your life. This is giving me that like weird third party energy that always pops up on the channel. And I've got more messages about that third party that are coming through in the pipeline here. But I feel like, yeah, this person's like watching you. They're trying to tempt you. They're trying to make you think that they're Venus, that they have like something to offer here. And I think they're trying to pull you into their territory, into their remit. And it feels like for this person, their remit maybe is love, where they maybe tell you about like what your relationship should be like, because they pull you into some kind of place where it's like their place, you know, where maybe it's like their family that's around or something. And so they're, and then they, so that, yeah, but it's all like very selfish. And it could be that this person has their eye on, they're spying on somebody here that's away from you that I feel like is maybe an actual love interest or something. Or maybe you've moved away at a distance and they're really watching you, hunting you almost. And this feels like very strategic and cold. And this person feels left out in the cold, but they feel haughty about it. Haughty is the word that comes through like with this card of like, notice this fish here, like with this look on its face where it's like, oh, how dare you, you know? And it could be just because like, don't you know who I am? You know, like I am the prize. But really this is the siren that like leads you off your path. Even if this is a male, right? Like this is a siren. It's illusionary. You go in for it and you get eaten up, you know, by a monster, a sea monster. Yeah, there's the fantasy energy here. Somebody here is learning that they have to protect themselves against a fantasy. Not all that glitters is gold, you know? And be careful too, because this person could try to come through a friend or somebody in your broader network or like online or something. They want to kind of make themselves known. There's some kind of strategy in this. They might come through with a sob story about family, about feeling overwhelmed and that there's somebody bullish like in their remit. But I think this is the bullish person in your remit. This is where tarot gets like very interesting because the energies can flip, you know? And so it's giving me the energy, and I'm not saying this person's doing that, but like say this person tuned into a tarot reading, or this is kind of like the narcissist learning, you know, you don't take a narcissist to therapy because it's finishing school, but you could have even said something, or maybe they talked to somebody in your broader network, or it's in their broader network, but maybe it's your family and they heard something about you and what you're doing. And so this person is kind of, the gears are turning and they're like, oh, okay, so if I present myself in this way, then I'm likely to get this person's attention or for them to get sucked back in. When in reality, actually, you are their victim. They're trying to suck you into their remit where they have control. And they will actually, it's very projection-y energy where they will actually be the person. It's very selfish. They want you for very selfish reasons. And they want to go around again in some kind of cycle. And I feel like they may talk about their feelings. This is a warning. This feels like a heads up in the general message. Or it's for some of you, because again, we have this chitra energy where you're like, you know, getting rid of this. It could be that this person's already made an attempt at doing this and it keeps going around, and just spirit is just telling you to keep hammering away, you know, at you know, this piece of rock until it goes away. Because this person's like, I think you'll see a different side of this person too, because they're very haughty is the word that's coming through. Like now they want to be in your face. Like if the softness doesn't work, if the talking about their emotions doesn't work, then they might try to pick a fight or be like, what? So you're too good for me now. So this or that. So what about this? And what about that? They're going to try to like provoke you. This is definitely like a karmic contract. And I feel like there's maybe something that you're working on for some of you, and it is elevating you and you're trying to go up. This person's trying to pull you where they are. And maybe where they are is near water in some way. But spirit is saying, don't get pulled away. You are where you are. And I think that because I'm seeing that, I don't know what you call it, you know, the hammer and the chisel. I'm seeing that like nail part of it, the hammer, it's like chiseling it into the rock, right? And that's an up and down motion, like vertical dimension, right? Because spirit wants you to go up. That's the dimension that you're kind of focusing on, whether you know it or not. You're coming up and then it's coming down, and you're just coming up and then it's coming down, but it's slamming down. And like the thing is, and that feels like you getting in touch with reality. So you elevate your consciousness, you're understanding certain spiritual concepts or the way, some kind of elevated thing about the way the world works, and then you're slamming it back down in reality. And that is what is severing this fantasy that you have like with this person, this fantasy relationship about who they are and how they show up for you or something. Because there's a routine energy about this. And they have a routine, a very practiced routine. And it's very Virgo. And Virgo is a beautiful energy. Virgo is the earth angel. Virgo is somebody that's skillful, that shows up on that routine basis. They act like they do, but I think it's because this person's always around. Or they try to always be around, or they just try to be in your space. That's not the same thing as like the pile number 3 person, where what they loved is that they're always showing up in their routines. It's not the same thing. This person would like to conflate those two things, but it's not the same thing. It's just that they're in your house. It's very different, you know? And yeah, you were sick and this person was there. Maybe they did do a few things, but it's not the same thing here, right? They're trying to conflate those two things. But Spirit is saying like work up, because this person keeps you feeling like weak, and they keep you feeling less than. They always put you in a place of second best. Even if they come back around, this Hoover attempt, right? This feels like narcissism, but it kind of feels like on a soul level. And I think that you've actually been very wounded by this person energetically. Like it feels like maybe your auric field has a memory of like, it's stuck in your auric field, and that's what you're kind of like ridding yourself of here. There could have been some kind of fighting. Yeah, I don't know, but it feels like very cyclical. And this person needs to draw you in to their near perimeter is what I'm getting. They need to draw you into their space in order for them to, because they can get away with it. This person's kind of a pro at getting away with it and maintaining their image. And so they know not to abuse you from far away, or they know not to abuse you from like in front of people. They want to get you into their like home so that they can always contest the chain of events that happen between the two of you. This is a person. But Spirit is saying, look, you're seeing the past clearly. And there's something here about the auric field, like it knows, it remembers. Because this is K2 energy for me a lot of times. It comes through different. Sometimes it's the gray and fire sign, but this I'm kind of getting K2 energy, which is like the body keeps score. The body's wisdom, but also the wisdom that comes in from the auric, that's past lives, and it's speaking to you through your gut feeling. And you don't exactly know why you feel a certain way about this person. You're like, I don't know. I just kind of want to stay away from them. Trust those feelings, because there's a higher wisdom that's coming through to help you see things clearer. Yeah. Again, I'm hearing that. See a little bit clearer. The light that shines within. It's that Alicia Cara song. I can't remember. Scars to your beautiful. Scars to your beautiful. This person is trying to put scars to your beautiful is what I'm getting. It feels like oracally. Past lives. This is like an attack energy, but it's a siren. They do it by their siren song. They say all the right things. They draw you in to their sphere. I'm describing a siren. They draw you into their sphere with their other siren friends with the sharp teeth and the beady eyes. And they're not at all beautiful. They're scary and they're hungry. And this person may be psychic, actually. And they might be trying to position as a friend. This third party definitely does this in like the psychic realm. But they're also going around, they're noticing you going round and around. Because I think that's part of, it almost is giving like mitosis or meiosis, but I think it's mitosis, right? Where it like they split apart like that. And that's what you're doing with this person right now. You're kind of spinning around and around, and it's like you're getting ready to separate out from this person, and they know that, and they see it, or they sense it, like kind of psychically. And that's why this person has this renewed kind of fixation or focus on you, is that you're getting really, really ready to break free. I'm really strongly getting that. Stay focused on what it is that you're doing. Don't get drawn into this person's siren song, their fantasy, or anything like that. Don't do it, because you've made so much progress, and you could be in conversation here with another person. They could notice in your energy field. This feels like it's energetic. There's something about this energetic. Even if this person's unaware, it's like maybe the thing that controls them is energetic. But there's some kind of, it could be the pile number 3 person has now entered your life, and you're in communion and conversation, and even if this is a friend, like you're with them, and it's doing something here. Somebody else has kind of taken the top spot in your life is kind of what I'm getting. And it makes this person feel petty, and I just heard dangerous, and they're scheming, and they don't like their lot, and they want to cause harm. They want to Uranus into your life. They want to surprise you and shock you in your life and like disturb this space. And there's strategy to it. It might seem like it's unplanned, or like that it's, but it's not. It's very planned. And it's because they feel blocked out, and they don't feel like they're being treated equally to this other person, but they have reaped what they have sown. Spirit saying this is karmically supported. This is justice. This is balance. Because I don't think this person was fair to you. And it wasn't a Libran relationship. Maybe it was supposed to be. Like if this person wanted to turn themselves around, now's not the time to do it. It was in the past. They needed to be in a Libran relationship. That was them clearing their karma with you. Could have been them clearing their karma with you of, hey, we're in a one-to-one relationship, which means there's no third parties involved. So for some, there was a third party here. But also, I don't think that you were treated fairly to them. This person has a warped sense of fairness and relationship, because they think it's very 6 of Pentacles. Like they think you taking a subordinate role is being fair, because this person dominates over everything that they do. So they needed to give you your say. They needed to, I think this person genuinely needed to take a back seat. They needed to give of themselves. They needed to give up something here, like in order to have you in their life. And I think that was offered to them. I think that road was genuinely offered and needed to be in order for the karma to be actually like worked out. And I don't think this person chose that path. And now they feel victimized, and they feel like you're not treating them fairly, and you're not treating them equally as to somebody else in your life. But that person showed up for you. That person is in a Libran relationship with you. They do give you your say. You guys are in one-to-one conversation. It is a one-to-one relationship. That is sanctified and it's protected. And I think it's kind of shocking, this person. And I think they're meant to see that, and Spirit's allowing them to see that, because to unearth something about their subconscious and something about their fears and something about illusions that they themselves hold about them, their life and who they are and how they've approached this. But there's also secrets here of like your dynamic that have to be revealed in time after this person has gone through cycles or something that's played out. And this person can see it now, but they need to see, I think, you being in an actual healthy one-to-one relationship. It's going to cause them, it should, if this person is honest and earnest and genuine, which I'm not sure. I think they just want you. I think they just want you back, and it's hungry and they just would devour you, you know, kind of a thing. Like a siren. Or I just saw that image of Kronos, like where he just eats that guy, you know? And so seeing you in an actual healthy one-to-one relationship is supposed to help this person realize, so that they can turn a corner in their own soul, on their own journey, and maybe, and it's a big maybe, I don't think this person's at all on that path, they could be reintroduced to you in the future, where they're being given their marching orders, is what I'm hearing. Okay, this person's saying, well, I want that person, but it's coming from a place of craving. It's coming from a place of selfishness. And they think just because they want you and they're like, okay, I'll play your game now, you win. That's like kind of the vibe. And that's not at all the takeaway here. They need to change. They need to change fundamentally, and they need to start addressing their moon, their mind, their emotions, maybe their attachment style, like their families, just like you did, you know, and they need to start poking at or like figuring out the cycles in their mind, the cycles in their life, because this is a person who is like, they just want you, like, and then as soon as they get you, they get bored. Oh, that's what I was saying about the Queen of Wands. I think that's why that was relevant. So man or woman, like that Queen of Wands, like as soon as they get you, they lose respect for you, actually, because they were able to get you or dominate you. And so this person doesn't understand that about themselves. They fundamentally need to reorganize the way that they view love and sex and like things like that, in order to be able to be somebody who's in a Libran position with somebody else. They're not even fit to do that. So I do think this person needs to be on their own, because I'm seeing that Libra Virgo axis again. This person needs to back up from Libra into Virgo energy, which the Hermit is Virgo card. So they need to be alone for a while. They need to go inward, and they need to maybe grow old alone for some of these people. I think that's genuinely Spirit is saying. And for some of these, this would be a person who that would terrify them. And it's because they derive control via relationships. They derive their status and they derive importance and being looped in to certain opportunities and things, because they only know how, and this is supposed to alert themselves to this, because if they unpack their fears around being alone, and it's because they don't achieve anything on their own. Not really. This is not a person who builds themselves up in their skillfulness on their own and can stand alone. They need to learn how to do that before they're fit to be in relationship. This is a person who just runs to relationship because they think it's easy. There's no certification that you need to have, right? Everybody kind of expects to be in relationship with other people, platonic and romantic and otherwise. And this person, so because of that, they didn't try to learn how to be good at it, but they need to. So they ran into relationships as a comfort zone, but they are domineering. They're a tyrant in those relationships. They've got a lot of bad karmas. And this is a lot of people kind of like a cheap way of thinking about clearing your karmas is, okay, well, if we were in some kind of fucked up dynamic, then you need to get better. That's what I think needs to go on with you, because you're genuinely soulmates. And the way that I use soulmates and karmic is everybody's a soulmate on a certain level, right? Like you're in each other's lives and you're meant to be, and there's spiritual lessons that are being worked out. But to me, a soulmate is when you learn your lessons, you actually get closer and you go on the path together, because Spirit wants knows that the two of your energies blend really well and form and shape up very healthy when they're healthy and together. So you are supposed to go on the journey together. That's a soulmate. Whereas a karmic, when you start to learn those higher lessons, you actually realize, I don't really have a lot in common with you. We should go our separate ways. You learn more about yourself and you realize this doesn't work for me. And it doesn't make the other person bad or demonize them, but it's like, well, we just got to go our own separate ways. That's the way that I kind of use that. So I feel like you are soulmates with this person, actually. Whereas if they were healthy and doing their work, and that's maybe why you are so confused and stuck in the cycle. And that's very different from other people who are karmics to this person and stuck in the cycle, because they don't have that same soulmate connection of like, why don't you change, huh? Like, why won't he be the king I know he is, the king I see inside? They don't have that same thing. They both just, it's devil energy. There's a using energy on both sides, where it's a temporary high and an escape from reality of the actual soulmate relationships that these people need to be engaged in. and the actual inner work that they need to be doing. And they become hidden enemies to each other, and they become hidden enemies to these people's family, genuine family and friends that require their time and energy and effort and Saturnian energy, their duty and their discipline. And so they become these hidden enemies. But in order to be around each other, they have to glorify gluttony and lust and envy and selfishness. And they have to make that their God, right? And say, oh no, this is divine energy because my genitals said it was. And because I feel better when I'm not pressed upon. Do I want to get out of this functioning dysfunction and learn healthier ways to be? No, I just want to go on a craving binge and forget about it, right? It's unconsciousness. I want to just go down the path of unconsciousness, and I want to feel justified and divine in doing it. That's what they need to move away from. This person uses people, and they don't quite, as a distraction. And I think they're quite good at it. They may be very attractive in their personality or something. They're good at it. They have to divorce from that entirely. And in order to do that, they need to throw themselves in the gauntlet, the phoenix energy of being alone. They need to get to know themselves. They need to face their fear of being alone when nobody else is in the house. Because I think this person, a lot of their behavior has been bad. And they keep themselves in a fantasy about these, because they're very social, this person, but they're not good. And they're not selfless in any way. And they're not cooperative. They're actually very competitive in their relationships. So the silence around them is unsettling because they would have to confront just who they really are and what they've actually done. And they would have to learn to stand on their own 2 feet, how to manage their own routines. Because there's some kind of, this person gets things from partnering with people, but I really don't know that there's a partner. This person seems like they would use a lot of people. So they would find a relationship that suits them on a material level, but then they would have an affair partner that suits their other needs instead of confronting any of this. And then they would have somebody that does this for them. And they seek out those kind of relationships and they maintain it. And I think they do take a lead role in their relationships, and people are maybe flattered by that. And they think that it's coming from a genuine place. But this person knows that it comes from a materialistic place and a selfish place. And it's because they're doing that instead in lieu of developing Aries energy and Virgo energy, which is how can I make sure that I learn certain skills that serve my routine and my physical body, and that I can take care of myself. This person needs to kind of take on the full responsibility of caring for themselves. And so kind of a shorter cut to that is in this lifetime, kind of finishing it out alone. Because this person can do it over multiple lifetimes where they're still kind of in relationships and stuff. I just feel like this person needs an intensive experience where they are responsible 100% for themselves. They need to wake up and wash their ass in the morning. They need to cook themselves breakfast in the morning. This person doesn't do that. They don't, and there's a lot of skills that they kind of need to develop. And they haven't done that really in past lifetimes. They just sort of cling to other people to use them. And so they need to be alone. And that is actually the starting point of what is beginning to make them a potential partner for you in the future, where they can actually show up in that Libran energy, because Libran axis is 2 Aries individuals, right? And Aries is connected to Virgo on the light grid. They're similar energies because you got the routine and they're very skillful. Aries and Virgo, I've got a lot of Aries in my chart, and I can say this for an absolute fucking fact. Aries and Virgo really like each other, and they like to work together. They really do, because for different reasons, Aries and Virgo, they are the ones that do quality work. Virgo, because they understand, they're very service oriented, and they understand the routines, the ins and outs of well, if I don't do my part of the routine, it all kind of comes crumbling down. So they do the best job that they can do a lot of times. If that Virgo energy is healthy and you don't have malefics there, Aries is the same way. But Aries is I always do the best that I can do everywhere that I am, because it's important to me to be the best me that I can be. And I don't want you, when you think of me, to think that I left you with all the side work, So I can say this for a fact. I love working with Virgos, and I love working with other Aries. So this person needs to become that, where this person will get in relationships. And I think that they're very sweet, and they'll say, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize that. Well, that's not an excuse. This is a person in their 40s or something. And it's oh, well, I didn't realize that. They should realize it. They should be so intimately familiar with the routines of what it takes to have a consistent human life that they do notice when somebody's doing all the work. How many of you notice that person that's clearing the table, at Thanksgiving? How many of you are that person? This person is just oh, I didn't realize, or they have socially nice ways of not giving. But they want to suck the attention, or they suck all the air out of the room or something. They want to be the focal point, or they want to be seen as helping, but they'll just join in at the last minute. But really, like little Sarah Beth over there just cleaned the majority of it. And this person took like 3 plates in to get the attention. You see what I'm saying? It's that kind of energy. They got to stop doing that. And this person kind of knows it, but it's their oxygen. So they don't know what they would be otherwise. It's kind of like if a tree fell in the forest, did it really fall? Like, and nobody heard it? Like, they need to answer those questions of like, if I fart alone in the room, like, does anybody care? Like, it's that, like, this person needs to stop being the center of attention. And that's how potentially they can get back into your life. But see how that requires a sacrifice? That's what I'm saying. This person needs to sacrifice something in order to be with their divine partner. They can't just take all the time, and they do, but they have very sophisticated ways where it doesn't look like taking. And they can explain it away. It's not taking, it's just the pinnacle of sociability. And a lot of people who, there's 6 of Pentacles relationships here. It's built on neediness and it's built on codependency. And that's why all these relationships are karmic around this person. They can have as many, and they probably do. They can have as many superficial relationships as they want to have. They're all codependent. And it'll be people that appreciate this person's sociability for the wrong reasons, so that they themselves don't have to learn how to be social. So they really plot. This is kind of what bothers me about the twin flame philosophy that some people have from a very superficial level. And I'm not saying that if you subscribe to that you also have this, but it bothers me the way that this is kind of glossed over, where it feels like an encouraging of a codependent relationship where it's like, oh, well, this person's really good at this and I'm really good at that. And unless you're both Aries and Virgo centered people, where it's like, because you're good at it, I can, in my own way, in my own time, learn how to do that, especially because I'm carrying my own load over here. Then it's just codependency. It's just an excuse for you not to leave your comfort zone and learn. And it's the same for this person. And they are good at relationships and finesse and sparkle, and they need to quit it, and they need to be substance. This person needs to learn how to bring substance to the table, which isn't always recognized. And that's an unfortunate side effect of a world that values kind of people like this. And they value the smoke screen and the mimicry. And because the people who actually pull the weight don't really, that's everywhere in our world too. Look at the people that are being demonized right now. They do a lot of the hard work and they don't make a lot of money and they don't get a lot of accolade for it. That's just kind of, it's because it's unglamorous work, but it is the work and the meat and potatoes of human life and human existence. And those are never the people that get like the most spoils, because our culture is dead and sucky. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But this person, I think, really does need to spend more time alone. Cold turkey might not be like a thing for these people or this person, but they need to spend more time alone. They need to spend more time developing substance, developing skills, and not contributing to a space with like words and like, I don't know, some kind of cheap sociability, and helping to build these karmic, because I think this person's like, oh, I'm helping, but they build the kind of bonds that they create are very codependent, surface level. They introduce the wrong people to each other for the wrong reasons. And they're like, see, I helped. I built this bond. Stop doing that. Stop. Because in these spaces, you're supposed to be bringing substance. You're supposed to be quiet and doing something. You should be seen and not heard, because this person, that would kill them. This is the person that would kill them to be seen and not heard, basically. But that's exactly what they need to do. And the people that they feel is taking attention away from them in a real way, well, it's because they've got a balance of having done the thing. And they don't mind being seen and not heard sometimes. And it makes them feel good to contribute to the actual goings on of the actual hard work of the blood, sweat, and tears. This person might have like little stories that they go to. There's this one person and they were like, I had this one job back in the day. Like, this person lived a very cush life. And when a lot of us would be kind of talking about that, they would just always, they had to, again, draw the attention back to themselves. But it was just this like, when I was a teenager, I had a job once. And it was like, I appreciate that you're trying to fit in, but like, that's not really the same thing as what we're discussing. Okay. Because that's not really the same as like having to put food on the table and like having your water shut off and, things like that. It's just not the same. Okay. And thank you for your contribution, but it's just not the same. It's not what we're talking about. So, yeah. And this person is trying to avoid that. This also might be a person who bitches about avoidance, but like this, it's avoiding, because you avoided a relationship with me. They have like the entirely wrong perspective of stuff like that. They're actually avoiding doing the thing that they need to do. And when people are rightfully kind of moving away, because karmically you should be, moving away from this person. They're not in a healthy energy. They're not building healthy relationships. They're building karmic codependent relationships that are going to have to be unbuilt at a certain level in time, because they're not in the right place, because they're not in the right aspect of themselves to pull them towards their soulmate energies. So they're just surrounded by karmic. So if you happen to meet this person, they're in karmic energy, and it's just going to be more work for you down the road to unpack, this sparkly creature that like is very superficially nice, but you'll come to realize doesn't really contribute in a way, in a genuine way. They just sort of mooch. This person mooches, but I think they mooch with style. They mooch with flair, and yeah, so they just need to stop doing that. And all of this is this karmic knot being untangled. And it's like this person, somebody here is like cutting away like a huge karmic block that this person probably drags into their life. And this person's like, are you going to get on board, or are you getting cut away with the slough? Because something here's getting sloughed off. And in order for them to do that, they have to get to work cutting off their own karmic connections, which is probably most of the people that they've met in their lifetime. Because this kind of strikes me as a person who should have 5 very close friends that are just, it's very deep connections. And they go on vacations with their families together every single time, but they very deep connections, and they don't waste their time with this frivolous, superficial bullshit. And some of them, they have a partner that they think, oh, well, I'm not so socially capable. So they bring this person in as a partner so that they can hide behind the skirts of one another. And they think, oh, well, I have a lot of friends. You shouldn't have any of those friends. None of them. Because it's all superficial and they want you for the wrong reasons. And that's what this person's highlighting in order, they kind of make you look flashy, and maybe somebody wants that. All of it's karmic, and it's got to just go. All of it, just one big flush down the drain. So I don't know which person you are, like where you're at in this, but that's really what's being asked. And it will bring fulfillment. Because in doing that, whoever this person is that needs to spend some time alone, in doing that, they're going to challenge their misconceptions. They think, oh my God, I'll die. And they will. It's an ego death. It's an ego death. The person that I thought that I was is now gone. I'm actually finding that I'm finding where it's comfortable actually and preferred to be alone sometimes. I'm challenging this person. This is the kind of person that really will say, oh, well, that's going to be this, or it's going to mean that. I don't need to walk down that path because this is going to happen. That's going to happen. That's going to happen. I already know. They're wrong about every single thing. They're wrong about it. And they'll do it in the short term too and be like, see, I'm not wrong about it. But once they let things settle and give themselves a chance to explore what that energy really is in relationship. Oh, I get it. Their first relationship is with themselves. Their first relationship is with the silence. They need to get to know the silence. So I think this is Spirit's way of protecting other people from this person while they're in this kind of toxic energy. Because this person they use relationships, but there's no relationship there. There's no actual intimacy or anything. So this Spirit is not putting anybody in harm's way with this person. They're saying, because I think this person can be sustained with superficial relationships. Like they see somebody at the bakery and whatever, like, and little chit chat and stuff. They don't actually have much, this sucks. They don't have much depth, and they don't have much need for depth for like actual intimacy and deep connection. So they can get that when they go out and about and run their errands, or just like here and there. But they need to, the first relationship that they build will be with silence, and it will be with themselves. They need to get to know the silence. And when this person does this will be the kind of sage person that uses phrases like that and they actually know what it means, because I don't know what it means. Like, not really. I mean, I could sit here and be like, and I got to know the silence, but like, no, I didn't, because I don't know the silence actually. I could be a lot better at that. I appreciate the silence whenever I meditate and stuff. I don't do it as often as I would like to do it, but and it's refreshing to me and everything, but I wouldn't say that I'm like one of those people who like, I know the silence, but this would be that person that would come out of that and say, oh, I know the silence. The silence is a being in and of itself. And you can have a relationship with her, and it would feel very intimate. And that is going to unlock something that they will know how to apply to people. And they'll just not even want the old life that they had. They won't, but they're not even giving themselves a chance to do that. Instead, I think, again, they're focused on you. And it's the same pattern playing out because this person can switch him. I'm hearing that song from a Taylor Swift song where she's like, I used to switch out these Kens. I just ghost, hit then leave town like an asshole outlaw. Freedom felt like summer then on the coast. Because they don't really care. Like, this is a person that doesn't really care about people. They don't build genuine, intimate bonds. They just switch people in and out. And that's what they're trying to do to you by fixating on you and making you the fantasy. But because they haven't looked at themselves, because this is a person that, again, once they get you, they devour you, and then and it's a problem with them that they do that. They consume people and they dominate people. And it's like, well, I was able to get that person. And then they just drain you, and then they hate you. And because their energy is all over you, and then they discard you, and then the whole thing plays out again. It's because they're looking for something in other people that can only be found in themselves and can only be found in the silence. And they don't understand that because this person lacks wisdom and they lack depth. But they'll be around people who maybe speak about that, and then they'll mimic it, and they think it's the same thing. And until this person drops it and goes and sits in the silence, I'm kind of getting, I don't know if cold turkey would be good for this person, but I'm getting like, go on a silent retreat, be in a cave. Like, I don't know. It just feels like and I'm seeing this person so uncomfortable at first, just like, this is so boring. Oh my gosh, it's only been 15 minutes. I feel like I've been here for 4 years. It's like, it's that, but this person needs to struggle with it. And it's reminding me of, this feels like the feminine side too. Back in the day, I said something where I was like, the feminine energy that this masculine needs to be acquainted with is Mother Nature. Like the bitch mother that's going to throw a blizzard at you and not be emotional about it because it's not personal. It's just that sometimes there are blizzards, and the winter comes and it kills all the bacteria so that the new growth can come in the spring, and everything has that, and you're a part of the dance, and it wasn't personal, but it's also, it creates this very like rugged kind of, I have trust in myself person, if you can submit to that. This feels like the feminine version of that, the feminine side of, the silence speaks, and not in a weird way. Like the silence speaks, has a story to tell. You're never alone. That's what they're meant to learn. You're never alone. I just got goosebumps, and I feels like something's holding me. And I think that's really, it's like the silence is your friend. You're your friend. You're never alone. You're never alone. So yeah. I think that's enough. Don't you? That was long. I think that's enough for us today. Look, the sun card came out. And the sun card can mean yes. So yes, that's enough. All right. Well, thank you guys. Yeah, the detective said, it's just a waste of mental power and sanity to try to logically understand and reasoning with people with such mentality, beliefs, and worldview. Yeah. Because they'll change when they're ready to change. And the earth is the school and the mama and the teacher and everything. And I think sometimes we try to, like, we're really trying to rescue ourselves. Like when we see that, because it's like, oh my gosh, I remember how much pain I was in when I was stuck in that energy. And like, I remember what it meant to me to finally like understand something. And I want you to be free of it just like I was. But, and it's somehow connected to like a smaller version of you, of like, you're not forgotten and I would come back for you, like, I don't know. All right. Yes. Outward Bound program. I love being alone in nature. I've learned so much about myself in nature and being alone. That's so cool. I've always wanted to do something like that. Okay, bye. I just don't want to leave. Aw, that was long. Yes, it was. Thank you for being here with me and spending your Friday with me. We do have a live stream tomorrow for those of you that are on Patreon, and we're doing.
Oh, that's not updated. Sorry.
Oh, that's not up. Oh, wait, but you were telling me what it was.
Yeah.
It was. Oh wait, hold on. How would they describe you?
Yeah.
How would they describe you? Yeah. How would they describe you to someone? Because we were just talking about it. So how would they describe you to someone? We're doing that tomorrow on the Patreon. For those of you that's how they are. Same time. And yeah. My throat is going. I'm going to have a big salad. We sell candles if you are interested. And we'll put the link in the chat. Oh, it's always down there. Never mind. And I won't go into that, but just know that they're really cool. They're high quality. Ugh. Okay. I'm going. You guys know that I suck at wrapping things up, but if you're on Patreon, I'll see you guys tomorrow. And I hope you have a lovely week, and I'll see you when I see you. And thanks for being here and being my people. And thank you guys so much for the super chats. And it's lovely to have you back, Catherine. If you're still here listening.
She stuck around for the reading. She just dropped in like before we even started. But...
See how we all pay attention? Like we notice when people are missing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, hey, whatever. I hope she's happy and I hope she's good.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. All right. I'll see you guys when I see you. Bye.